Thank you, Paul. A celebratory Padre Monday. Do we have Woods from the island of Oahu now? Sort of?
I think so.
Hi. All right. You sound a little janky this morning, but we did find some way to get you on our program. Good morning to everybody. Good morning, San Diego. It is trade deadline day in Major League Baseball, and we're all very eagerly anticipating what's going to happen. I am your host, Ben Higgins. Let's go backwards today since we've been working with some technical difficulties this morning on Woods' new location. Our executive producer to my left, Paulie Reindl. Hello, Paulie.
Hey, how are you?
And then joining us several thousand miles across the ocean after moving from Kauai to Oahu, I believe on the north shore of Oahu right now, Stephen Woods. Good morning, Woodsy.
Good morning, my friends. How are you? Can you hear me?
We can hear you, yes. You don't sound like your normal crystal clear self, but we do have you this morning.
Yeah, it's not your fault.
I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me.
Yes.
I'm in a room at the Ritz-Carlton, Turtle Bay, and I was originally supposed to broadcast from the business center, but they said we'll put you in a room. And I said, well, that's great until you have to connect Wi-Fi to our special machine, and we can't figure it out. And so I'm doing that. Man, all right. So I think we're on. Everyone can hear me decently enough.
Yep, actually, it's pretty decent, other than a little bit of that hollowy sound because you don't have your headset on because it doesn't plug into your laptop. We're pretty good, actually.
Good. How was everyone's weekend?
Oh, spent it in Las Vegas. So I made, as you do in Las Vegas, a few questionable choices over the last few days, which I can get into.
I would like to hear that.
Paulie, how was your weekend?
Great.
Woods, how about you? Transitioning from one island to another?
I'm getting my ass kicked a little bit on this vacation. I can't deny. I really am. It's a lot. It's a lot. They say many times, if you're a parent and you take a trip with your children, you did not take a vacation. You took a trip. What's different than that? Even what's maybe a rung lower than a trip when you also have to work and find out how to connect. What's lower than if it would have already kicked my ass if it was just like the four of us. But you've been
sent on a mission.
I've got my in-laws, I've got my kids, I've got my wife, I've got me. It's quite the combo here. No one's going to feel bad for me as I'm at the most beautiful resort I think I've ever seen in my entire life. But man, yeah, it's I'm getting my teeth kicked in a little bit, man, for sure. And I'm ready to come home. I really am. I'm ready to be back in San Diego ASAP. To be honest with you, I got tonight, tomorrow night, and then I'm home on Wednesday. And it's been a lot.
Well, I'm glad we have you today, especially because I don't know. I mean, we always expect AJ Preller to make moves on trade deadline day or around the trade deadline, but oftentimes he's already made some. Nothing has happened yet. Yeah, we got up early and made sure that we haven't missed anything, but we are almost, I would say, as close to 100% guaranteed to get at least one, probably two or three AJ Preller trades by 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Morning, guys.
We will be on it all day long, looking for the Jeff Passanbaum or the Ken Rosenthal or whoever ends up breaking the news. We will be talking about it all morning long and following the saga of how the Padres expect to improve themselves.
Do you think it's going to be
deadline.
a passing bomb or like a passing hand grenade?
It could be something smaller.
Because we saw a passing nuke on
Of course,
Saturday.
the Tarek Skubal to the Dodgers news was pretty much the talk of all of Major League Baseball, if not the sports world, over the weekend. So we will get to that as well. But let me get you caught up on. Yeah, go ahead.
Is it a nuke if you know it's coming? You know what I mean? Like, I guess it's still the power of the move, but like I think everybody kind of expected this to happen. Foregone conclusion, especially once you see the absolute garbage BS league of. Well, Tarek's already said the Los Angeles Dodgers are his preferred destination in free agency anyway. Listen, I'm going to tell all the baseball fans out there, you all got worked. You got worked. I got worked. Ben got worked. Paulie got worked. Everybody got worked by Major League Baseball. And my guess is it was Scott Boras. Could have been anybody. I mean, really could have been anybody. Could have been Andrew Friedman. You got worked. And it changed the course of the trade deadline. When that little blurb came out, he's made it clear that the Dodgers are his preferred destination after free agent or during free agency. So we all got worked by these clowns again, and they came in, swooped in, gave up poo-poo for gold as they usually do. And, here we all sit. And now the best part, every national writer telling us to lay down as they take a dump in our mouth and tell us that, no, this is good. You like this. This is what you want. This is great. If you complain about it, you're an idiot. That's been my favorite part of the last few years. It's Jeff Passan telling me, no. This is great. You love this. The gaslighting has been insane. I can't believe what I'm reading on Twitter every single day. I can't believe all of the absolute cuck media just sitting in this hotel room over there. Bob Nightingale in his underwear, socks pulled up to his knees, smoking a cigarette, telling me, no, you like this. You like this. This is great. No, I'm telling him, Bob, just watch this. Watch this. It's great. All the media, all the national media, they're all cucks, every one of them. Nobody has the balls to say, this sucks for every other fan base. Not one of, who did? I'll give him credit right now. Jake Mintz. Jake Mintz was the only one that said, actually, let me tell you why this is pretty lame and why it doesn't really work. So Jake Mintz, the only one that had the absolute stones to put it out there that the Dodgers, and really the national media makes me more mad than the Dodgers. Dodgers are doing what they do. The national media going, here we go again. Like, it's embarrassing. I saw so much. They should be ashamed of themselves.
I think that goes down as possibly the greatest ever sports talk radio rant delivered from a prone position at a tropical resort at 3 a.m. I think that's probably a record for the most anyone's gotten angry on a sports talk radio show in the middle of the night in Hawaii. Congratulations, Woods. That was amazing. I will throw in the part of how we're all supposed to be really mad at the Milwaukee Brewers today for not beating the offer of the Los Angeles Dodgers. No, the team that we really should be mad at, the organization that's really ruining baseball, everybody, is the Milwaukee Brewers or maybe the Tampa Bay Rays for not beating the offer so they can rent a player that's going to sign with the Dodgers anyway in just 2 months. I love that take.
Right.
That's fantastic.
Hey, I know how much work you guys put into Jesus Mate and Logan Henderson. You're going to need to go ahead and give him up for 2 months of Tarek Skubal, who is going to thumb his nose at you as he signs a $400 million deal. I know that Jesus Made's don't grow on trees. You're going to have to go back out to the Jesus Made farm and pick you a fresh one while you're there and grab another Logan Henderson while you're there. It's garbage. Listen, it's going to cause the sport we all love and admire greatly. It's going to cause them to really have to make some changes. And of course, obviously everyone's going to point their fingers at the Dodgers. And I've already said they're doing what the Dodgers do, right? They had some tremendous advantages and they're exploiting those tremendous advantages all within the rules. So before you completely soil yourself in LA, I'm saying that you've done what you're supposed to do. You've done what every other team should do with those different extra resources. But stop telling me that they don't exist, and stop telling me that this is good for baseball, and stop telling me how to feel about it. And so, we can get into that certainly. I'm more interested right now, Ben, in your Vegas experience is what I want to know about. I want to know about these bad decisions.
Well, we had actually a fantastic time. Went on Friday after the show. Travel was pretty smooth and got there Friday afternoon. Met my son, who came down from Seattle to celebrate his 21st birthday. Checked in at our hotel, the Palazzo. 2 rooms, fantastic hotel. First time I have stayed at the Palazzo, and we were all blown away. It was so cool. Just all kinds of restaurants galore, and what a property that is. So that was fantastic. We
Beautiful.
started by celebrating champagne toast with all four of us in the family, which was very cool, and then went to a really good dinner at Delmonico's Steakhouse on Friday night, and that was fantastic. And then I was pretty tired, so I turned in. The boys, though, decided to stay out a little bit longer. They went to the ice bar. Paulie, have you been to the ice bar?
I have not.
It's a bar inside the Venetian Canal shops that is entirely made out of ice.
Mm-hmm.
The bar, the glassware, the chairs, everything. It's completely made out of ice, like sculpted. So they went and had a couple of drinks there and then kind of walked around just with each other later that night. We found about it in the morning. I slept in a little bit. And then Saturday, had a fun day. Spent some pool time in the morning before it got really hot. Great pool area there at the Palazzo. Had a really good dim sum brunch. And then boys wanted to go see a movie since it was getting really hot. It was like 115 in the afternoon, and we didn't want to spend too much time in the casino. So went and saw The Odyssey, which ate about 3 hours up in the afternoon. That was an interesting experience. Really one of the more remarkable films I've ever seen. And yeah, you guys haven't seen it yet. I had a big discussion with Major Garrett about The Odyssey last night. But then the decision started getting a little questionable. So we had the tickets to see the Docksiders Yacht Rock show, which was also in the Venetian. And we show up, and it comes with a cocktail. So they hand us one as we walk in and sit down. They're playing. Basically, the warm-up act is just TV theme songs. So I'm in heaven just watching all the greatest, 70s, Three's Company and Sanford and Son. They're just playing them on a big screen and behind the stage, which I think is a fantastic way to warm me up for a show. And then the group comes out, and I have never been, Woods, to a concert in which I absolutely knew and loved every single song. Like, every single song was one of Ben's absolute favorites. My son Graham was enjoying it as well because he loves yacht rock too. And we just had a fantastic time. The drinks were flowing. I followed up the first cocktail with the second cocktail and then a third cocktail. And we hadn't had dinner because we went to the movie. We're going to eat afterwards. So on the empty stomach, I started getting a little bit tipsy at that point. And they kept encouraging everybody, hey, this isn't just a sit-down show. They want you to get up and dance and, go a little crazy.
But you don't dance.
I don't dance. So I'm just sitting there. I'm into it. I'm singing along with the words, and, I'm giving the band a lot of love. They had an amazing saxophone player, 3 great vocalists, 2 great guitar players. The drums were great. I mean, they were a really entertaining band who knew their stuff, and it was pretty entertaining. But then, as the drinks started flowing, people started dancing, and I again, not going to dance, but this woman comes up to me, and she is like absolutely insistent and just pulls me onto the front of the dance floor. And since I had a few cocktails, I didn't refuse, and I walked up there in front of everybody and did my best, like silent disco routine where I am just rocking out to Grease's "The One That You Want" in front of the entire crowd. So that was something for sure. But I had a great time at the concert. And then yesterday, we a little more pool time in the morning before went to the airport early, watched the entire Padres game while we waited for our flight at the airport, which was fine, and then got home. A little worse for wear. Needed some sustenance though once I got home, so went on an 8:30 p.m. run to get rolled tacos. Wow. At El Pueblo, the place I go to in Cardiff, right off the freeway. We've talked about it a couple of times before. Was very busy, waited around about 30 minutes, finally got my order. Heading back, and this has not happened to me, I would say, in 30-plus years, as I'm driving back on fairly empty streets in Encinitas. I make a left turn onto El Camino Real, and I see the red and blue lights come on behind me. And I got pulled over at on my way home with my tacos from the taco shop.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I was a little nervous. That did not happen in a very long time. Pull over to the side. Deputy comes to my passenger window, roll it down, and he goes, Deputy so-and-so from the Encinitas Sheriff's Department just down the street. And we had I had set up a bit of a monitoring station at the stop sign back there. You didn't come to a full and complete stop at the four-way intersection there on Santa Fe and Crest.
How dare you?
I'm just disgusted right now.
I could
Disgusted.
not deny it. There was
I can't even look at him.
There was no one at the
can't either.
intersection. I couldn't see him. He was probably hiding in the dark there. And I have to admit that while I did stop, I did not stop completely and let the hood come all the way up and bounce back. I probably did roll through at about 2 miles an hour instead of completely stopping. So I got out the old license and the registration and the proof of insurance. I want to thank Encinitas' finest for doing their duty. And fortunately, to my great relief, I got let off with a warning. I think I got lucky because it was almost 9 o'clock, and I think his shift was coming to an end, and he didn't want to necessarily extend that with all the paperwork of a ticket. But he said, just be careful in the future. Make sure you come to a complete stop. And I said, thank you, officer. I will do so. And I was able to make it home with my rolled taco.
I was waiting for the old, sorry, officer. I just got done with my television job, and I was just trying to get home quickly so that I could go to bed
I did not play
wake up
that
for my
card.
successful radio show.
I did not play that card. I gave him my license. So whether or not he did not say anything, so I have no idea whether he was a tier 1 or not. If he listened to the program, he did not say anything either. But I do want to thank him for letting me off with a warning.
I'm speechless. Number one, I've never been let off with a warning for anything.
Have you
ever.
not?
No, never.
I didn't know they actually do that.
Paulie's been with me. Paulie's gotten 14 tickets with me. He knows they never let me off.
Not a chance.
Yeah, I mean, we know people. We worked with people that would have pulled the "Hey, do you know who I am?" bit, but that's just not something you could ever do.
That doesn't even make sense. Why would it matter who you are as to whether or not you deserve a traffic violation?
Oh, but if I was a cop and you said, you know who I am, I'd be like, yeah, I know who you are. You're absolutely getting a ticket now.
That's what I think too.
Because you said that 100%. Well, that's so, you really were living on the edge this weekend.
I know.
And Graham had a good time.
He had a really good time. He did more of the, I actually did okay. I did not do a ton of gambling. In fact, Paul, you'll appreciate this because you play some of the slots when you get there. I really hadn't done any at all. I'd watched, my boys do some of the video poker and play some of the games. I definitely handed them a few hundreds while I was there, but
that's what I was going to add.
I didn't. Yeah, I handed them probably 2 or 3 each over the course of the weekend. But I didn't play much myself. I was content watching them and having a good time. And I think they played some video poker, and that was cool. So I hadn't played really at all. And as I was walking out of brunch on Saturday, I went and used the restroom. And as I walked out, there was one of those 25-cent Wheel of Fortune progressive slots. Mm-hmm. And that had always been my favorite. Like when I had first gone to Vegas, I loved the Wheel of Fortune slots. So I thought, why not? I had a 20 in my pocket, put it into the machine. A woman had just gotten up, and I thought, I will see what I can do with this 20. Very first pull of the handle, I get wheel,
no way,
wheel, and get the spin, and it was like a double. I'd done the full bet, so it was like the triple times and then a double progressive. I landed on 45. I didn't totally understand it.
One spin,
$250.
Nice.
I won on one spin, and you know what I did? I immediately cashed it out and walked to the casino cage and got my $250, and that was pretty much the extent of my gambling. Didn't go to the poker room, just mostly spent time with the boys and enjoyed myself. So my gambling story was pretty amazing for the weekend.
1 for 1 is what we call that.
1 for 1. Yeah.
No, my kids have been fighting incessantly, as 8-year-olds and 5-year-olds do. They also have been loving on each other very much. It's been very sweet to see, but I'm telling you, man, like one of them will start acting a fool at the restaurant. So then I get on to them, and then my mother-in-law gets mad at me for getting on to them. And then I get mad at my wife for not defending me. It's been this really cool, vicious circle of like, no, I told him to sit down. Well, he can go sit over there with Gaga if he wants to. And I go, actually he can't, because I, his father, just told him to sit down. And that's what his father would like. Right. And so it's just this around and around and around we go. And then now when I say I'm getting my ass kicked, I'm fully adjusted to Hawaii time. Like fully, I'm fully here. Like
the weekend was actually bad for you now, because now you're adjusted and you have to get up at 2 a.m. to do the show.
So I was at, we went to Hannah's cousins. She has cousins that live here, and they're great kids. And we went to see them, and about 8 o'clock last night. And I was like, okay, that's 11 at home. Imagine being up at 11 p.m. on a Sunday. So then I split. I was like, I'm going home. I got to get ready for this thing tomorrow. And, I had to trek over here this morning, lug all the gear over this morning, got all set up. And then I was listening. They're like, oh, we're going to go to this hike and we're going to do this. We're going to go. And I'm laying there going, yeah. Like I'm not doing any of that. Like I love you guys. Like I'm not doing any of it. It's trade deadline day. I'm going to sit on my ass by the pool. I'm going to have a drink. I'm going to watch my phone. That's what I'm doing today. And so now I feel like a huge dick because I'm like, I don't care. Like this, I'm doing the hybrid. So hybrid is me being here with you in spirit and doing most things, but I'm not leaving my phone till 3 o'clock.
Oh, it's noon where you are. So first of all, it's noon. Not all day. You've got all afternoon with the family after the trade deadline. So you're going to be fine.
It's just it's melting my brain right now. Yeah, I'm not doing it. That's me exactly.
I thought his internet was messing up. He just kept going. It's.
No, I'm losing my mind a little bit right now. So that's it. I'm in this hotel room. I can't sit up. I can't sit back. So I have this weird pervert stance that I'm in right now. It's very, very odd. And my neck's killing me. Just destroyed.
It looks somewhat uncomfortable. Well, why don't you lay back? Oh, this is interesting. So Christian in our YouTube chat says, I'm a cop. 99% of the time we want to give a warning, but it all depends on how the driver reacts.
That's BS.
Or what they say. Yeah. Is that true? I mean, I'll tell you what.
I don't buy that for a second.
I handled it very professionally. I did the, from what I had seen on TV, since I hadn't been pulled over in so long, I said, I got my license out. I said, I'll need to pull up my insurance on my phone. I'm reaching into my pocket to pull out my phone so I can show you my proof of insurance. And then gave him my registration, thanked him for his professional demeanor, and that was it. I got the warning. I was very happy with it.
Hey, also, could there be a worse view than this one?
Now Woods is leaning back with all the necks and chins that you can possibly imagine from Hawaii.
Legendary Lo says, complaining while laying in bed on vacation is wild. Los, let me ask you this. When you go on vacation at 2 o'clock in the morning, do you have to walk across the hotel to find another room to broadcast from on like 15 minutes of sleep? My guess is no, you don't. So don't feel sorry for me, though. But I have the face right now of, I showed you my penis. Please respond.
Yes.
This is what every woman in our audience has seen at one point. Not from me, from other people, that says, I showed you my penis. Please respond. I cannot. Should I just hold it like that? That's better.
That's not bad, actually. All right, just lay back for a couple of minutes. We'll take our first time out. Everyone's here. We got a huge audience already this morning. Everyone, of course, waiting with bated breath to see what the Padres are going to do. And I can tell you, when we come back, we already had one of today's guests debunking yesterday's biggest Padres rumor. So we will get to that right off the bat, and then we'll get to the wrap up of a third straight win over the San Francisco Giants yesterday. A still shot of Woods in the screen is legendary. You got to be
That
here
made
with
my
us today.
day.
You got to spend all day with 97.3 The Fan, at least until 3 o'clock Pacific time and the trade deadline for sure. We'll be coming back with our Padres wrap up and more, broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. Ben and Woods on a Monday morning on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
He just here. I'll show you a little. Just a little.
Please don't.
Just a little bit. What hurts on you?
Nothing at all.
A little bit.
Not that now.
So let's say
whatever you're about to touch is the only thing.
Let's say
It's gonna hurt.
Right?
All right, yeah.
Okay.
Pretend your knee hurts.
Pretend your knee.
It's going to in a second.
Right here.
Oh, that is not pleasant.
Hey, player, this is all yours. This room with this view. This speakeasy with this cocktail. Hey, could you make that too? The spa with this. Ah. And this pool on this roof. This is all for you. The all-new Humul Casino Resort, now open.
And we just had a Jeff Passan bomb during our first commercial break. Welcome back to Ben and Woods, brought to you by David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys, helping good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. This one, pretty much out of nowhere, Woods.
Jeff
Passan, breaking news just now. The Toronto Blue Jays are acquiring right-hander Jose Soriano in a trade with the Los Angeles Angels. Sources tell ESPN. I mean, I'm not surprised that Jose Soriano was traded. The Angels have finally shown a willingness to move some of their pieces, but Toronto is not the destination I expected. The Blue Jays, even though they did win their last two series against the Nationals and against the Cardinals, are 4.5 out of a playoff spot in the very weak American League, and just traded Kevin Gausman yesterday to the Chicago Cubs, indicating that they were kind of raising the white flag on the season. Instead, they pick up Jose Soriano. Now, this may be more of a move for the next two seasons, as Soriano still has 2 years of arbitration control remaining, so they may just be rebuilding for next year at this year's trade deadline. But that was not something that we anticipated seeing this morning. The Blue Jays making a major move to acquire one of the best pitching arms still on the market.
Yeah, man. And Angels getting top shortstop prospect Arjun Namala, outfielder Eddie Micheletti. I love that name, Eddie Micheletti. And right-hander Angel Rivero from the Blue Jays for Soriano. So, yeah, 4.5 games out of a wild card, Ben. Okay, like it's a pretty good message to your fan base to say we just got rid of a pretty expensive, ineffective this year Kevin Gausman. We unloaded him for prospects. Then we used some prospects to pick up a guy that we're going to have under control that's a lot nastier than Kevin Gausman, at least at this time. So really savvy move, in my opinion, by the Toronto Blue Jays.
Meanwhile, while we slept, one of yesterday's major Padres rumors was debunked by The Athletic and their Yankees writer, Brandon Cady, as well as Dennis Lynn, who will join us this morning at 8:35 for his weekly Linsider Report. All guests on Ben and Woods appear on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not big bank banking, it is better. Bob Nightingale of USA Today reported yesterday that the Padres had turned down a trade offer of Will Warren, starting pitcher for the Yankees with a couple of years of control, for Adrian Morejon, as the Yankees were looking for bullpen help. It created quite the consternation among, I think, both fan bases. People thought that A.J. Preller was crazy for turning down a young, controllable starting pitcher for a rental arm. Other people thought, great.
Let me ask you a question real quick. I want to interrupt. How often do national beat writers report on trades that never happened, like that didn't happen? Like you don't typically see that very often. Like unless there was a ton of smoke and like everybody was talking about a specific trade, like Skubal to the Dodgers, for example. If it never happened and they said like, "Hey, here's what some of the packages were," I don't usually see like, "Hey, out of nowhere, like, hey, by the way, the Padres were about to do this trade and they didn't." Like that doesn't usually happen. I don't
Sometimes
think.
Like after the fact, we find like months later, we find out, oh, did you know that this was in the works? And then we learn later that it never happened for whatever reason.
In the moment.
So
after, it's all for leverage. Bob is doing the bidding. Bob is doing bidding for everyone. It's very obvious. I don't have a tinfoil hat on, but all you have to do is just connect the dots on all of these. And that's not something you see. You don't see, oh my God, we could have had Zach Neto if we only gave up Cruz Schoolcraft. You don't see that like until months later. This is all very obvious and workmanlike from national media. And again, Bob was wrong. And I heard it was the other way around. Entirely. We'll ask Dennis what he was able to find. But, I looked at that trade too, Ben. And I saw people upset, like, oh, man, Preller must be out of his mind. And I thought to myself, okay, fine. I don't think I was able to take my I love Adrian Morejon, and he is different in my eyes than just a quote-unquote rental arm. I didn't look at him as a rental arm, which I know he is. I look at Adrian Morejon as a game changer that can pitch the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, or the 8th and 9th for a team. Left-handed, 100+ miles an hour. I'm going to need a little bit better than Will Warren for him. I know that's crazy, but that was how I felt when I saw that.
Well, I think unless you are convinced that Will Warren is going to blossom into a much better pitcher, and he's a number 4 starter right now at best with a negative career WAR, and
We have those.
he makes his starts. I mean, if you want a guy with a 4-something ERA, those guys are fairly available, and you can pick them up cheaply and just season to season. If you want just a 4 starter, just pick up another Herman Marquez next year, unless you think he's going to blossom. Adrian Morejon is a valuable commodity. Even for 2 months, he's got the 3rd highest WAR of any reliever in baseball, behind Mason Miller and Louis Varland. He may add another, 1 WAR to it just in the next 2 months if he just keeps the pace. And Will Warren might not do that in 2 seasons, based on what he's done in his career so far. So I wasn't unhappy when I heard that had been turned down. Now we hear, no, it was never a thing in the first place. But it certainly sparked a lot of discussion online yesterday when the rumor first came out.
Well, and Simon says Athletics said no offer was formally offered. Doesn't mean it wasn't discussed.
Sure, it can be discussed. Yeah,
absolutely. But what I'm saying is, why were discussions reported on?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's not something that ever happened.
Like, how come last year nobody wrote like, hey, by the way, the Yankees, here's what their proposal was for Mason Miller, just so that the whole Yankees fan base can now be like, wait, what the hell? Wait, what? We were in on this?
Right.
That doesn't happen very often. It especially doesn't happen the weekend of the deadline.
One more tidbit from the Athletic piece debunking that rumor. It says Adrian Morejon could be a candidate to receive a qualifying offer from the Padres after this season. And with new ownership expected to be approved in the coming weeks, some in the organization hope the Padres can make a multi-year offer to keep the lefty beyond 2026. So that clearly would fall into the Dennis Lin purview part of the reporting of that story, that the Padres not only want to keep Adrian Morejon for 2 months, but may want to keep him into the future with a contract extension. And the best way to do that would be to not trade him here at the deadline.
Yeah, 100%. And again, this is not, if it's Wandy Peralta, that's a rental arm. That's how I look at it. I look at Adrian as a guy that's been here since he was 16 years old, highly effective. I don't think they're going to want to let him go, and certainly not for a 4 starter. We have enough Yankees 4 starters currently on the Padres rosters right now, in Johnny Brito, in Randy Vasquez, and let's be honest, in Michael King.
Yeah, and Will Warren would just be another one of those,
Right.
I mean, they need arms, and now there's one less on the market with Jose Soriano going. Here is the list of available, and maybe there's some guys we don't know about that are being discussed, but Casey Mize, Jacob deGrom, after the Rangers have lost 5 in a row and started to fall out of it in the American League West. Hunter Green, we talked about last week. Robbie Ray, Reed Detmers, Clay Holmes, Dustin May, Shane Bieber, Brady Singer. I mean, if those are the pitching arms available, you've got to figure at least one of them is a San Diego Padre by 3 o'clock this afternoon. Which one?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Obviously Hunter Green would be the most expensive prospect-wise. DeGrom would just be financially expensive to take on his salary. Clay Holmes is an interesting one. He's coming off an injury, but could be a good gamble.
Do we know how much wiggle room do they have to add any salary right now?
We don't know. They're told that they have some, but not unlimited. I mean, I think that's true of many teams. Like, nobody has the total blank checkbook at the deadline just to add money. But, a lot of these would be prorated for a third of the season, so it's not like you're signing a huge guy. But if it's someone like DeGrom, I think he has another year after this at over $30 million on his contract. Is that something that the Padres want to take on for next year?
No.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. I do get the sense, guys. I do get the sense that this will be maybe a potentially G-Man Choi, Rich Hill type scene here at the trade deadline. And I think it just begs the bigger question, one that I noodled on all day long. And it was, and I talked to my 8-year-old about it, and he doesn't quite understand the trade deadline yet and why a team, like, he was blown away that Luis Castillo was moved, because he likes Luis Castillo. He likes a bunch of the Mariners, and he goes, I just don't understand. And he goes, why would we move Morejon? Why would we move Mason Miller? And I asked him, I said, my son, it boils down to one simple question. Do you think you can win a World Series this year? And if you don't think you can win a World Series this year, then you have to explore all options. And it's not as cut and dry as that, because I don't know that the Toronto Blue Jays think they can win a World Series this year, being 4.5 out of a wild card right now. But what they were able to do is set themselves up for maybe potentially winning a World Series next year. So those are kind of your options.
Which is what I think A.J. Preller is more likely to do. He loves trading for guys with more control. Like, this is his off season. He's not going to have one because of the lockout. So this is This is partly his off season in trying to get a roster on the field for 2027. So I look at the guys that have more control after this year rather than 2-year rentals or 2-month rentals as maybe the top targets. The question is, does A.J. have the capital in a seller's market right now to beat other teams' offers for some of these guys that are going to be out there?
How much capital do you actually need? Do we have any?
Sure. If Scooble goes for what he went for, you figure AJ can meet some asking prices out there.
Yeah. I mean, do we have any 30-year-old prospects that we could ship off for the world's greatest arm? That's the other interesting part of yesterday's deadline as well, is that the ask and the get back from
passing bomb.
Oh, here we go.
Not Padres related necessarily, but the Phillies are trading for Luis Arraez.
Whoa.
Wow.
Sick, dude.
I was fully expected that Arraez would be traded before the deadline today, as probably will Robbie Ray. Going to stay in the National League, though, and stay in the playoff chase, a team that the Padres are just a game behind in the standings. They did a nice job controlling Luis Arraez in this series the last few days, which is why the Padres ended up winning the series. We'll break down all the trades that have already occurred over the weekend coming up here at 7 o'clock. But let's get to our Padres wrap-up. The reason we're still talking Padres trades is how the team has played in the last week, winning yet another series and 3 more in a row. So we'll get to yesterday's game and set the table for more of our trade deadline talk coming up right after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's your latest traffic update.
National City 805 northbound, starting at 47th Street. It's a slow drive northbound past 94. Once you drive past 15, you're at the limit. I'm Fonseca with San Diego Traffic.
This report is brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change.
Before your next summer road trip, stop by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. With no appointment needed, it's an easy way to help keep your vehicle running at its best. Valvoline Instant Oil Change, your 15-minute drive-through oil change. Coupons at SoCalOilChange.com.
I love winning, man. I love winning. You hear what I'm saying? It's like better than losing. Are you ready?
How did things play out in yesterday's game?
I liked last night's game.
It's time for the
Padres wrap-up
with Ben and Woods.
You guys are the voice of San Diego.
Brought to you by Hamul Casino Resort. Hey, player, the rooftop pool's open, day passes are available, and the spa is calling your name. Hamul Casino Resort, the players' place.
2 on the way, and Merrill swings, muscles it in the air to deep right center field. Gilbert and Lee going back. They're going to watch. It's going to go. A long 2-run homer for Jackson Merrill. Out to the beach in right center field, and the Padres have struck. It's 2-0. Cronenworth swings, hits it on the ground to the left side. Adames diving, has it, loses it. 2 runs are going to score. Adames just kind of slowly picked it up, and with the runners going, Sheets and Bogarts both come home, and it's 4-0. Adames swings, hits it hard on a line into left field. That's a base hit. Eldridge has scored. Devers will be held at third as the throw comes in from Rengifo. RBI single Willie Adames, and the Giants are on the board. It's 4-1. 0-1 pitch grounded slowly to shortstop. Bogarts has it. Only play is to first in time there as Devers crosses the plate. It's now 4-2. And the 3-2 in the air to deep left center field. Rengifo and Merrill are back. Merrill at the wall. Reaches up, makes the catch. Might have taken another home run away. No, he couldn't get it. Oh, Merrill had the glove over the wall, but he couldn't make the catch. And it is a home run for Basabe. 4-3 game. The 0-1 pitch. And Campusano hits it firmly the other way. Adames has it go off his glove, trickles into left. France rounding third. He's going to score. And the Padres have added on. It's 5-3. 2-1. Devers swings, hits it in the air to deep left field. Rengifo's going back. He's at the wall. This one going to go. Rafael Devers takes it out the other way. His 23rd home run of the season. And a one-run game here in the 8th. It's 5-4. Marjon will kick and deliver. And a swing and a miss. Strike 3 as Adames goes down, and that will end the top of the 8th inning. Oh, look at McCray. He runs. The 0-2 pitch. Arise swings, hits it in the air to left center field. Merrill going to track it down. He is there. He makes the catch, and the ball game is over. Adrian Marjon comes on to get 4 outs and close it out as the Padres take 3 out of 4 from the Giants, and they have won 8 out of their last 9. They will go into the trade deadline playing good baseball, winning baseball, and a 5-4 win over the Giants here this afternoon.
Yeah, we're playing good right now. It's a good homestand. We finished the road trip up the right way, gave us some momentum, and then, we hung in there, against the Giants in a 4-game series and won 3 out of 4. It's always tough in the big leagues, and we finished it off right today in a tough game.
What do you like about the way that your team has played just over the course of this homestand that you would like to take into this next series against Arizona? You talk about momentum from the previous road trip.
I think, one, it's just complete baseball, offensively, defensively, and then with the pitching. It's kind of all come together at once. The pitching staff has continued to pick each other up throughout the whole course of the week. And the hitters have done their job too, being able to score early and give us a little bit of a cushion to use guys, how we would like to use them. So it's been a complete baseball, out of everybody in the clubhouse, everybody on the staff, and everybody in the front office. The whole organization's been really good last few weeks.
Let's talk about the calculated gamble that Craig Stammen and the Padres made yesterday to push back Michael King a day and go with another bullpen game with Kyle Hart starting. I'll have to say, when I saw it, I liked the idea. Michael King has been very good in his career against the Diamondbacks, better than I even realized. Career 1.05 ERA against the D-backs, which is a huge series that starts tonight. So the Padres took a risk that they could get through another game with Michael King and J.P. Sears and Griffin Canning, and it wasn't always pretty. But thanks to 3 shutout innings from Kyle Hart and just enough offense, they made it to the finish line with that 5-4 win for a ultra-important series victory over the Giants at Petco Park yesterday, Woods.
Kyle Hart was fantastic.
Kyle Start is great.
Kyle Start is great when he starts. He was fantastic, and the only guy at this point, it's wild that I have less than zero faith in is Griffin Canning right now. But if only there was some evidence to show us he hasn't been super effective all season. I know he's had a couple of decent outings late. At some point, you're going to have to stop running him out there to let them back in games. But so far, man, pitching chaos has been pretty cool to watch. Guys are coming in doing their jobs. We'll talk about all the other games over the weekend. The Yuki Matsui game on Friday, I believe, was spectacular, just unbelievable. But Yuki may be down for a month after the work that he put in. It was great, man. You can see guys stepping up out of the bullpen. You can see the offense stepping up. I actually saw Craig Stammen get a little bit of credit yesterday on Twitter, which might be the first time I think I've seen it. And here we are on August, 2nd, 3rd. It's probably the first time I've seen him get credit for keeping this team afloat right now, which is exactly what they are. It's exactly what they're doing. They're playing good baseball.
But, it's the offense that has really turned it around. And in particular this weekend, and really since the All-Star break, the lefties in the lineup, Jackson Merrill and Jake Cronenworth, have both been very productive. Both came up with huge hits over the weekend, including yesterday, the Merrill 2-run homer on an 0-2 high fastball off Landon Roop. And then Jake coming through with not only the 2-run single, but also the great defensive play. That game is different if J.P. Sears doesn't make it out of that inning. He gave up 2. Could have been more without the nice leaping play by Jake Cronenworth, who, of course, also had the walk-off single on Saturday night in the bottom of the 9th inning. That would have been a devastating loss if the Padres had not pulled that one out. So huge stuff from both of those guys this weekend. We'll talk more about it. Got an update on that Luis Arraez trade to Philadelphia, as well as the passing bombs keep coming. Get to that next year with Bennett Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Nobody knows.
Baseball coverage on 97.3 The Fan is presented by Xfinity. Score the most reliable Wi-Fi, one price, 5 years guaranteed. Xfinity, imagine that. And got some more details on the most recently completed trade this morning. The Luis Arraez to the Philadelphia Phillies. They are also picking up reliever Caleb Killian from the Giants bullpen, which already wasn't a great bullpen, so they're taking even more arms away from that. There are some prospects going back to the San Francisco Giants, including the number 4 prospect, I believe, in the Philly system. But to me, Woods, I know some people were hoping for a Luis Arraez reunion in San Diego, and not that they couldn't use his bat, but just don't know where you play him with Jake doing so well at second base and Ty France being so important at first base. And Luis being very clear that he wants to be a second baseman and nothing else. Not sure it was a fit to bring him back here to San Diego.
Is your audio okay on my end?
Yeah, you sound good again still.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yours was like cutting in and out. I don't know. Maybe everyone's waking up at the hotel. I have no idea. No, I'm good. I'm good on Luis Arraez. I don't. I saw the Phillies just got Brooks Raley too, the left-hander from the Mets. They got who else? And they got who's the guy they got from the Cubs? Or was it the Cubs or Giants?
Giants. Caleb Killian is the additional reliever, according to reports, they are still looking for starting pitching as well, as is just about everybody, including the San Diego Padres. I think that's just the universal rumor. So that's the newest trade this morning. But let's go through some of the other big trades that happened this weekend, Woods, as we get you caught up. Obviously, the big one, of course, was Tarik Skubal. We started the show with your rant about Tarik Skubal to the Dodgers. I am almost apathetic to it at this point. You know, I
was 100%. I didn't really react much on Saturday. I was angry yesterday, like after sleeping on it and seeing the trade package that all it took for Skubal. That infuriated me. I got mad at the Tigers for why are you making that trade 2 days early? Like, did you even want to try a bidding war? Like, you could have gotten more for Tarik Skubal. Like, I'd be furious if I was a Tigers fan. But any potential trade talk, when Woodsy was talking about in the last segment, buying on the fringes, like the G-Man Choi, Rich Hill year, I'm kind of on board with that because it's almost like I'm starting to get to what's the point for this year? What's the point?
I think for me, I am surprised that the Tigers didn't wait a little bit longer, perhaps.
Malpractice.
I
just take the first offer.
I do think, I mean, we don't know if it was the first offer. I'm assuming they talked to every team. I would have had the feeling, though, that everybody would have kept increasing their offer right up to the deadline. It's not like you were going to get caught holding the bag and 10 minutes before the deadline, everyone's like, no, we're not interested in Tarik Skubal anymore. Every team at some price point is interested in renting Tarik Skubal for a couple of months. So why you pulled the trigger on that particular deal, I think, you're more of the prospect guy now because of the baseball cards. Woods, I hear Hope's a very good prospect, but a lot of people said probably the 4th best outfield prospect that the Dodgers possess. So you could have asked for more. River Ryan, the former Padre, is coming off of surgery, has a good arm, but is an older guy who has only had limited time in the big leagues, 28 years old. And Brady Smith is more of a lower-level prospect. So people were surprised that the Tigers weren't able to extract a little bit more from at least the Dodgers for a pitcher of Skubal's caliber.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised by the package. And again, back to the gaslighting, it's, national writers telling us what a haul that they got, what a haul they got for Tarik Skubal. And I just don't see it, man. I really don't, because, the Dodgers have flaws like every team, certainly. One of their flaws for a while was, starting pitching. And, Robleski was great early. Sheehan was great early. They've been scuffling, those guys. They had to go out and sign Eric Lauer off of the scrap heap. So you had guys in that rotation that you probably weren't counting on. Why not River Ryan? Why, if River Ryan was, he's got big league experience, why didn't he get the call up? I don't know, man. 28 years old. As really he and Zaire Hope being the centerpieces for a Tarik Skubal deal is tough, man. It's a tough look. And they brought up some of the other trades that potentially would have had to happen. And Yeah, man. The fact that they didn't get like a DePaula or a Mike Sirota or even a James Tibbs, who they acquired from the Giants, is pretty nuts. Yeah, Davalon. They got a 28-year-old coming off of TJ, and they got Zaire Hope, who at his ceiling, I heard yesterday, is maybe Jonathan Aranda.
I think
Aranda's a good player.
Yeah,
he's a good player.
But I think what bothers me is the false equivalency that everybody is making, that the Milwaukee Brewers or Tampa Bay Rays or even the Padres should have exceeded that offer for Tarek Skubal and beat the Dodgers out, because it's not the same thing. I'll try to explain it this way. Let's say someone comes to you and says, I have this unbelievable investment opportunity for you. And there's a chance that you could quadruple your money in a year. A pretty good chance, like 65%. I need $500,000 right now. Well, if you already have $10 million and you've got that opportunity, you'd be crazy not to take it. Why not? It's not going, if you lose all your money in that investment, it's not going to impact your future. Yeah, maybe you take one less vacation at the end of the year, but ultimately you can't afford that. When you have to sell your house, mortgage your entire future for that $500,000 on a 60% chance, that's a totally different calculus. And
Ben,
for the
AJ Preller does that every year.
He's the only one who does. But for the Brewers and the Rays, giving up their huge prospects is like mortgaging their house and going, all right, this is it, and we're gambling on 2 months of Tarek Skubal. If he gets hurt, we don't win the World Series, we lose all. Our future is impacted by this. Many years of our future is impacted by this. If it doesn't work out for the Dodgers, they just go, that was a bummer, and they move on with their money and their resources, and it doesn't matter. So
almost
they
like
can
handing
offer
out.
anything.
It's almost like handing out statue contracts left and right, hoping you win a World Series, and if you don't, you're screwed.
And it doesn't matter. Well, yes, the Padres are, but the Dodgers aren't.
No, of course not.
In most teams, the Kyle Tucker deal would have destroyed every other team. He has not had a great season. You paid him $60 million to go to your team. That would have destroyed any other team. The Dodgers, do they look destroyed by that horrid decision? I mean, that is the worst decision anybody made this offseason, was signing Kyle Tucker for that kind of money. The Dodgers should be in last place right now because of that stupid decision and their stupid front office that doesn't even know what they're doing. But of course not, because it doesn't matter. They can buy their way out of every single mistake. So they can do any of these deals that other teams can't do. It's a complete false equivalency. And that's why baseball, again, doesn't have a parity problem. They have a massive Dodgers problem right now. Done.
I mean, ESPN right now, they just a few minutes ago, they had on their bottom ticker, what makes the Dodgers' success so sustainable? And I looked up and I go, money. It's all money.
It's massive money. Yes, they're generally smart, but they make just as many, if not more, idiotic decisions than any other team. And they're the only team that can afford to make idiotic decisions. The Padres make a bad decision, and they've made a few. AJ's made a few. And we talk about them for years. The Dodgers make bad decisions, and it's, whatever. We move on to the next thing. That's not playing the same game. They're not playing the same game at all. And that's what baseball needs to fix. They don't necessarily need a salary cap, salary floor. They don't need to fix the other 29 teams. They need to stop the Dodgers from playing a completely different game than everybody else.
So you're saying they need a salary cap?
In some way. I don't know. Just for the Dodgers. You know what? Honestly, yes, just for the Dodgers. Any other team can spend as much as they want. The Dodgers have to keep it under $350 million. That's my CBA proposal right there. No salary cap for 29 teams. Dodgers have a salary cap.
I mean, you'd be crazy. Even to be a Dodger fan, you'd be crazy to read this and think that this is wrong, right? They've gotten 42 innings from the $60 million tandem of Snell and Glasnow.
Destroys any other team, you do that. Destroys any other franchise.
$20 million for Edwin Diaz. He has allowed 8 runs in 8 innings pitched.
Horrible. Idiotic. The worst. I mean, Tanner Scott deal. Stupid. Dumb. They make dumb decisions all the time.
$60 million for Kyle Tucker's 95 OPS plus. I think, look, at the end of the day, the Brewers could have absolutely offered Logan Henderson and Jesus Madej to get Tarek Skubal. They absolutely could have, but they don't have the ability. It's going to take them longer to replace those guys when, again,
why
that's
does it
why
take their top two, though, and it took the Dodgers 5, 11, and 18?
Yeah. 100%. 100%. It's very weird. And there's a lot that falls on what they did in Detroit. And the reason that they settled for this, with 48 hours to go, made no sense. Made no sense. That's what gets the tinfoil hat going.
Yeah, just stop. The Dodgers do a lot of things well, but stop telling me they're so much smarter than everybody else when they actually make more bad decisions than most of the other organizations put together.
That being said, if you can buy your way out of it, is it a bad decision?
Guess
or is
not.
it a good decision?
I mean, you're right. Under the rules that are currently constructed, they're playing the game the right way. They're doing it the right way, what they should be doing. And we can't do anything about it.
The majority of my anger is not directed at, let's say, the Milwaukee Brewers. They're the team that's getting brought up right now. But I can't sit here and say that if I was a Brewers fan that I wouldn't be upset that we didn't go out and match that offer, because I'm looking at it and I'm going, yeah, we're the Brewers. We've been relevant for the last few years, but right now, deadline day, we are the best record in all of baseball. We have arguably the second best pitcher in all of baseball on the planet. And we have a chance to go out and get the only guy that you could say is better than him. And you pair those two together, and I'm like, who's beating us in a 4-game series with Mizorowski and Skubal?
You know who is?
Probably the Dodgers.
And if you lose to the Dodgers, let's say you lose in 6 to the Dodgers, and then Skubal goes and signs with the Dodgers, and now you're out Skubal, you're out your top prospects, and you didn't get any further than you did in the playoffs last year. That calculus is why they don't do it.
That proves my
their
point,
downside is so much bigger than the Dodgers' downside.
Right.
It's just not the same decision. It's not the same game that they're playing.
Which proves my point of, what does any of this matter?
Yeah, it is true.
We're sitting here talking about what moves AJ is going to make and who's going to be starting for us on Wednesday evening, and I'm like, well, if it doesn't matter to the Brewers, who have the best record in baseball, why should it matter to any other team?
Yeah, I mean, the Padres, Brewers, Braves, all their best chance is just the craziness of baseball. That, in 1 week, everyone on the Dodgers can get cold, even their top pitchers and their top hitters can have a bad week, and you can beat them in a series. That's really the craziness. It's not that you have made the savviest move that made you better than the Dodgers. That's not happening. It's just you're hoping for baseball craziness in October. That's it.
Yeah, and the more I think about it, man, the best thing I can think to do, if you're us, if you're some other teams out there too, is to prepare for the future, right? Like, if you have to trade off pieces, make sure they're controllable. You don't need to be renting anybody this year if you are a San Diego Padre. Keep the guys that you got. Maybe they'd be interested in a lower level guy. But yeah, years of control is kind of what you're after, in my opinion, because I know anything can happen, certainly. I've seen people say Dodgers aren't going to win it this year. Now, I'll tell you that if they don't win it this year, they thought they were a laughing stock before. Holy smokes. Like, it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. I mean, you assembled the Avengers, and if you lose, it's a tremendous amount of pressure. We've said that before, based on some of the moves that they've made, and they've delivered the last 2 years for sure. But this one looks wild, man. This is as wild as it gets.
Other moves over the weekend that we can react to: the Cubs picking up Kevin Gossman from the Blue Jays, so adding a starting pitcher to a team that desperately needs it. By the way, Cubs now just 5 games ahead of the Padres. That first wild card is not completely out of the question, but the Cubs getting some help to try to hold on to that playoff spot. The Braves add pitching from the Giants yesterday. Tyler Mahle, who the Padres beat over the weekend, he goes to Atlanta along with Lane Thomas from the Royals, also a new Brave. The Yankees made one of the big splashes, Woods. Luis Garcia Jr. from the Nationals for a package of 4 prospects. A guy we saw do some damage against the San Diego Padres this year. Good young hitter, and kind of just not a top prospects, just a larger package of prospects. I thought that was one of the most interesting moves of the weekend.
Yeah. There's a lot that have been going on right now. What do you think about? Because the guys that are left for the Padres, obviously Morahone, Ty France has just been awesome. I said last week, sell high for once. Sell high. If you're going to sell high for once. Is that a guy you look at moving today? Is that a guy that another team's going to want based on how he's swinging the bat? I mean, you're seeing some of the other names come off the board. He's playing great defense, can hit, is hitting like a madman. I mean, would you be disappointed if it was a hybrid day where we're buying and selling?
I mean, I expect a bit of a hybrid day because I think the Padres will need to clear a couple of roster spots, but I don't think you're getting, based on the returns I'm seeing, I'm not blown away by any of the prospect hauls. If Tarek Skubal is getting that, then I think the Padres will probably end up trading a Wandy or someone like that because they're going to need extra roster space, and he will be a valuable commodity for someone. But I don't see a huge, 3 guys leaving and 3 guys coming in sort of day from A.J. Preller. I could be totally wrong. It's A.J. Preller. Very unpredictable. Freddie Peralta was a name we heard about the Padres. He goes to the Rays from the Mets. Luis Castillo is an interesting one to the White Sox from the Mariners. He's had such a bad season, but we've seen guys have that one bad year and then bounce back. Chris Sale comes to mind even later in their careers. And Castillo's been so good for so long that the White Sox may have gotten a steal there. We'll see if that works out. And then Pirates had some bullpen help. Really, Camilo Duvall had done nothing for the Yankees. That's a bit of a flyer for the Pirates. And the Brewers acquiring Bo Naylor from the Guardians for reliever Craig Yoho. But those were the bulk of the moves that happened over this weekend, Woods.
Craig Yoho, wasn't that our Pirate guy?
That was when it's spring training.
Yeah.
I said they did not trade him to the Pirates. They could have acquired Craig Yoho. Pirates life for him, but instead he's going to Milwaukee to join the Brewers. All right, let's he's going to the Guardians from the Milwaukee Brewers. All right, let's take a quick timeout. We'll continue to watch for breaking news. Don't Do This is coming up next. We'll scrap it if anything happens, but if it doesn't, I do want to salute in Do This a former Padre who made his emotional return to the big leagues yesterday. We'll get to that coming up next. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. It's Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. First, though, San Diego, glad to be back after my weekend in very, very hot Las Vegas. Incredible place to live because our weather is just so much better than everybody else, but it's not getting any cheaper. Housing, healthcare, taxes, groceries, it adds up. And when people start thinking about retirement, I think we all have that fear. What if my money does not last? That's where Trajan Wealth comes in. TRAJANwealth.com. Trajan Wealth's fiduciary advisors help people build retirement strategies designed for today's reality, factoring in inflation, market uncertainty, and the real cost of living right here in San Diego. Not everybody wants to retire to Arizona or Alabama or somewhere. If you want to stay here, you need to plan for it. Trajan Wealth will help. Offices locally in Carlsbad, Escondido, and Liberty Station. Hey, don't financially stress yourself all the time. Just start with a phone call, 1-855-TRAJAN1. That's 1-855-TRAJAN1, or just go online to TRAJANwealth.com. Trajan Wealth. Plan smarter, dream bigger. Advisory services through Trajan Wealth, LLC. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Actual client, paid advertisement, additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.
player, this is all yours. This room with this view. This speakeasy with this cocktail. Hey, could you make that too? The spa with this. Ah. And this pool on this roof. This is all for you. The all-new Hamul Casino Resort, now open.
Don't Do This, brought to you by Dixie Line Lumber and Home Centers, helping San Diego homeowners and contractors fix it, build it, and enjoy it. I want to move fairly quickly here, Woods, because we have plenty of guests today. Craig Elston at the bottom of the hour, Dennis Lynn at 8:30, and Kyle Glazer, who's going to be part of our trade deadline coverage all day long here on 97.3 The Fan in our 9 o'clock hour. But I'm glad, even though you are in some random hotel room working on technical difficulties, you still have time to correct insane tweets during our breaks, including one from a Red Sox podcaster, I believe it was, that said, Fernando Tatis Jr., rumors are that he is available. Padres are undergoing a sale, may wish to reduce salary. He's also given vibes that he wants to be traded. You actually responded you responded to that.
So the Padres they're not looking to move Fernando Tatis Jr., number one. Number two, they're also not looking to dump salary. I mean, if they could get out from under a couple of contracts, they would, but he's not one of them.
No.
They have new ownership group coming in that's committed to winning, and allegedly as soon as they get approved and all that, which, by the way, should have happened a while ago. It is not yet. And then as far as the vibes go, I mean, you can't – honestly, the guy's played his ass off this year and has played hard. And if you saw the interview the other night, Friday night, I think, they asked him about what it means to play at Petco in front of the Padres fans and how much he loves San Diego. And, I mean, all you have to do is open your ears and listen. Look, I get it. It's a pipe dream for a lot of teams, especially a lot of teams on the East Coast. Why wouldn't you want Fernando Tatis Jr.? But it's not going to happen, buddy.
But I think the funny thing to me here is if the Padres have a problem, it's not that players want to be traded. It's that they don't, and they have no trade clauses. I don't know that they could ever move Xander because I don't know that he wants to leave. Manny doesn't want to go anywhere, and I don't think Tatis ever wants to go anywhere. So you are probably going to have to live with those contracts, perhaps until the end of all of them, because they are happy here, and they like playing in San Diego, at Petco Park, in front of these fans, for this organization. You know, that's the curse of San Diego. No one wants to leave, and if you give them a no trade clause or they get 10-5 rights, like a player like Manny Machado, they don't have to go anywhere at any point, and you may never be able to trade any of those guys. But to say that, Tatis is giving off vibes that he wants to be traded is some of the most ridiculous internet craziness that I've seen.
No, choke me with a package, man. Let's see what happens. Let's see what you got. Boston, of course you're going to listen. You're going to listen on every single player you got. But I certainly don't foresee anything like that happening, and especially not based on the vibes of wanting to be traded.
All right, let's get right to do this so we can save a little time.
DD Mega Doo-Doo.
And I'll admit, I still follow him on social media. I enjoyed him when he was here with the Padres. We had him on, I think, during the pandemic. Former Padres pitcher Robert Stock. I was kind of unaware, though, that he was still toiling at AAA Syracuse, trying to get back to the big leagues for the first time since 2021. And with the Mets making some trades and, struggling this season, he actually got the call this weekend and made his first big league start since the 2021 season. At age 36, has made the comeback from thoracic outlet syndrome. A lot of guys don't come back from that, arm problem that he experienced symptoms all the way back when pitching for Team Israel. But he was cleared to pitch, and the Mets brought him up, and he actually got to return to the mound. And this was a very emotional Robert Stock after the game, talking about making his big league return.
Just look back at your journey the last however many years, even before the surgery. Just, I guess, how much does a day like today mean to you?
Oh, it means everything. The work that my family does to support me, my two kids at home with my wife. Just like knowing that they're there watching me, getting me to watch in the big leagues. It's pretty cool.
Andy was saying he knows you from way back when, right? What it means you to have this return to the guy you started with all those years ago.
It's hard to see my family. Andy's great,
And he did say you were in the conversation for another start, too.
Yeah, that's something that I work hard for. So.
Thank you.
Pitched pretty well, too, Woods. 5 innings, 3 hits, just 1 run, 4 strikeouts, no walks. Did take the loss, unfortunately, because the Mets didn't score any runs for him against Sandy Alcantara and the Miami Marlins. But pretty cool story to see that guy back in the big leagues.
I'm going to take your word for it because I did not hear one single segment of that audio. And
I'm sorry. You would have been touched more than my heartless soul with the tears that were being shed by Robert Stock after the game yesterday.
I will say he looked very emotional. He looked, from my perspective here, he looked very emotional, but I did not hear one single solitary word that he said. I just nodded along.
You can find it on the internet during our commercial break. And that is Don't and Do This for a Monday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, when we come back, we will get trade deadline thoughts from our first guest of the day. Craig Elston will join us for his weekly segment. That is coming up next, plus any more passing bombs or any other trade deadline news. You will hear it right here on 97.3 The Fan. We'll be right back.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. GEGE 0000466. For a full list of games and rules, play at 7 Mile Casino. Visit 7milecasino.com.
First, though, as someone who just got back from Las Vegas and did have a good time, I will say I didn't even bother to go back to the card room, though, because I just feel like I've got a better option here in San Diego. 7 Mile Casino is where I play my Texas Hold'em. Love it. Love sitting down inside an upscale atmosphere with no smoke. We got windows looking over San Diego Bay, comfortable chairs, dealers. They just do it right at 7 Mile Casino. And if Texas Hold'em isn't your game, you got California-style blackjack, Pai Gow poker, baccarat. I go in and there's reasonable limits. I wanted to play like a little Pai Gow when I went to my Vegas vacation. I could not find less than a $100 minimum at the table. Not going to happen. I'm sorry. I just prefer the gaming that we have at 7 Mile Casino here in San Diego. The food is great at Sammy's at 7 Mile and open 24/7. Very few San Diego options that are open 24/7. So whether you get off late at night or you work the overnight shift and want to find somewhere early in the morning, you can do so at 7 Mile Casino. Enjoy their patio, enjoy the bar area, TVs throughout. And again, it's really convenient because it's right off the 5 freeway in Chula Vista. Been to it many times. If you've driven past it, make a date. Head on in there to 7 Mile Casino, just 7 minutes from downtown.
He just, oh, here, I'll show you a little. Just a little.
Please don't.
Just a little bit. What hurts on you?
Nothing at all.
A little bit.
Not that now.
So let's say
whatever you're about to touch is the only thing.
Let's say
It's gonna hurt.
Right?
All right, yeah.
Okay.
Pretend your knee hurts.
Pretend your knee.
It's going to in a second.
Right here.
That is not pleasant.
Hey, player, this is all yours. This room with this view. This speakeasy with this cocktail. Hey, could you make that too? The spa with this. Ah. And this pool on this roof. This is all for you. The all-new Hamul Casino Resort, now open.
Woods brought to you by David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys, helping good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. Of course, Padres start maybe the most important series of their season, certainly the most important to date. 4 games against the Arizona Diamondbacks beginning tonight in the Valley of the Sun. Padres currently sit just a game behind both the Diamondbacks and the Phillies for the final 2 playoff spots in the National League wild card race. And don't look now, but you remember the Miami Marlins who lost 12 in a row and the Padres swept them and fell out of it? They're only a half game behind the San Diego Padres. They've once again started reeling off victories again. Be interesting to see what they do at the trade deadline. If they're buyers, sellers, combinations of both. We're continuing to follow all the trade deadline news as we get closer to the 3 p.m. deadline, and we're going to have coverage, live coverage all day here on 97.3 The Fan. But right now, let's go out to our SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking. It is better. We are joined by our friend Craig Elston with us here on 97.3 The Fan. Good morning, Craig. Happy trade deadline day.
Happy trade deadline day, boys. What a day it is.
It certainly is. Woods, say hi to Craig.
Hi, Craiger.
Hey, Woodsy. How are you, buddy?
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic.
Well, thank you for your video locking up so that I can't be on video. Now I get to wander the backyard in the nice cool air of La Mesa with the coffee cup in hand as opposed to being in the office. So it's all good.
It's all guesswork at this point when it comes to A.J. Preller. But, Craig, what's your feeling as at least the direction of what the Padres are going to do in the next, 7 hours from now?
Your preamble was very important on that. There's no guessing with A.J. Preller. So I will tell you what I think he will probably do and also how it's different from what I would do. I think, and, I believe a lot of what Kevin Acee writes. I think he's got his pulse pretty well. He has said every single day for over a week, they will get a starting pitcher. So I'm sure they're trying to get a starting pitcher. And, the prices that I've seen so far for rentals, and we just saw Soriano go. The Padres couldn't have matched that offer from the Blue Jays for Soriano. It's such a difficult market. And, our mutual friend Dylan from Letters to AJ just wrote it so well over the weekend that when you look at the case of this specific team, they figured something out over the last couple of weeks. They figured out a strategy that's working. And I don't think another medium grade starting pitcher actually changes almost anything for San Diego. I think it like marginally increases the chance to win one of the final 3 seeds. And beyond that, really nothing. They're not going to get a Soriano. They're not going to get a major, I saw people in our Discord 5 minutes ago talking about DeGrom and Evaldi and such. Like, they're not going to bring on a $30 million contract for next year in all likelihood. So we're talking about shopping for another marginal starter. That's all we've had all year long. And the thing about it, and I just really think this is fascinating, the Padres this season have, other than 3 of the worst teams in the league, Colorado, Athletics, and the Angels, the Padres have the worst remaining third time through the order penalty. So their staff is extremely susceptible to traditional use because they've got a lot of guys who are pretty good one time through the order and then really fall off the map. Well, they figured out a strategy to fix that. And now they're going to go away from it to go back to a more traditional strategy because they've added one more medium grade starter. I just don't see how that truly plays out in the Padres' ultimate favor.
So what do you think the Padres should do, you were going to say as well? Just keep going with what they've been doing?
Get another middle reliever. Get a good, solid another middle reliever. Get somebody who can take Canning down the roster. You replaced Waldron with Restrada. I think that's good. I think if you got another multi-inning reliever, you're really building the case for something that you can do. And I think you could add another hitter to this lineup, to the outfield specifically, someone essentially to improve the production that Gavin Sheets has brought the team, which is okay, but it's not great. I think if you add a little to the offense and you add a little to the bullpen and you keep the bullpen arms you have, you've got pitching chaos. You've got something very interesting. You have figured out a solve that takes the Sears, Canning, Marquez class of pitchers and allows them to do something they do okay instead of something they really don't do well. And you take an offense that really has to lead this team. The offense in the bullpen has to lead this team. No one starter that you add is going to change that today. So that's what I would do. I think you could get a relief pitcher for significantly less when you're not talking about a closer. I think you could get one for significantly less on the market than even a medium grade starter. And I think you can go find a bat that can help things out on the fringe.
Craig, talking to Craig Elston here on Ben and Woods this morning. So why not both, right? Like, so play this out for me. If you've got 2 pitchers that can get you 6, right? Like in Michael King and I don't know, Brady Singer, who I think is a rental anyway. So I'm just using him as an example. But a guy can come in and doesn't that then make the chaos pitching, like, doesn't that then make it better that you don't have to go to so many of those guys so much time, like so many times? I think you can add both and it still be successful. Like if they added a number 3 starter plus a medium bullpen guy, as you mentioned, and a bat, I think I'd be pretty happy as long as those guys had a little bit of control and we'd have them going into next year if there is a next year. So what's the real reason not to add a starter? Just because you need 5 instead of 1 won't help?
So this is where my thinking goes. And obviously the Padres are going to probably add a starter. And so I'm just, yelling at a windmill right now. But my thinking is Joe Musgrove and Nick Pivetta related. Like, you're not going to find a starter better than either one of those 2 guys healthy. So those guys really are your primary variable in terms of, are you going to take a step forward in the next 2 months to get to a higher level of contention? Now, when I see the prices for Gossman, for Soriano, obviously Skubal, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you about the Tarek Skubal deal, other than rigged. But, but I see those prices and I go, okay, well, how does that translate to the Padres system where our number 2 and 3 prospect would be like the numbers 9 and 11 prospect in a lot of other organizations? And I just feel like any major buy comes back to Ethan Salas, and I am not willing to trade Ethan Salas. I do not want them to trade Ethan Salas today under any circumstance, unless we're like getting Otani. You know, you know what I mean? Like, there's obviously never say never, but like I don't see a current circumstance that would make trading Ethan Salas make any sense for this organization.
Jacob Mizorowski.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Straight up. I'll drive him to the airport myself, you know, right? But like there's very few. I do think there are ways for the Padres to get better, but when you've sold in 2020, or pardon me, bought, you know, sold away your farm in 2020, 2022, 2024, 2025, and you sold the big things in 20 and 22, and then you sold kind of everything else that was left in 24 and 25, you're really dealing at a prospect deficit with almost every other organization that is out there on the market. And that's why I've been so scared of the starting pitching market, Woods, is because my fear is that the prices, all it takes is one other team going, okay, well, we'll do this. And then the Padres are put into a Salas or a Mayfield Schoolcraft bus. You know, it's like you got to send out your top three or else you don't get what you want. And I'm like, I don't think the guy you're going to get is going to be that much better than pitching chaos plus Joe and Nick come back.
If I had to make a guess, Craig, I would say, knowing A.J. Preller, and again, unpredictable as he is, he's working the phones every single angle. But if he's trying to do something, it's swing some sort of trade, maybe a three-way trade that lands Hunter Green without giving up Ethan Salas. That would be the A.J. Preller, like if I can dish these guys for additional prospects that I can throw in and sweeten the pot for the Reds. That, to me, it would be quintessential A.J. Preller, a starting pitcher that would also have control beyond this season that would, you know, impact his starting rotation in 2027 and in 2028.
Yeah, and that's why I thought maybe Soriano was the guy that was on the top of his wish list because he had control through 29, you know, and it's like, okay, you know, I get it. But it's conversely, it's why Skubal, Gossman, et cetera, like the rental guys don't really lift AJ's skirt that much because he's always looking at that, give me a second year of control. I mean, Hunter Green, ticks so many AJ boxes, the stuff plus, the, you know, the elite athlete, the injury concern, but the tantalizing top of rotation potential. I think we have to trade Ethan Salas to get Hunter Green. I do. I don't think you can get Hunter Green without trading Ethan Salas when you just don't have that second class of prospects the way that other teams do. And, you know, Ben, I heard you ranting Dodgers, you know, while I was walking the pug a little bit earlier. And I just think, you know, I mean, you're correct. I think you're getting a little uppity with the whole, like,
I'm not sure where that came from, Craig. I wasn't planning it. It just kind of spilled out of me.
I get it. I totally do get it. But like the thing I keep coming back to with them is that it's not just that they spent $60 million on Kyle Tucker. It's that they spent $60 million on Kyle Tucker and then gave baseball $66 more million because they're over the fourth apron. When you're like, hey, Blake Snell and Tyler Glass now $60 million for 40 innings. It's $126 million for 40 innings. And they just spend that and their tax penalty is $180 million, and that's more than half the payroll in Major League Baseball, and they can just do that. They can just pay for every player, and because you pay for every player, you therefore never deplete your minor league stockpile, so therefore you have all the prospect resources you ever need to get any player you want, and if you make a mistake, it doesn't matter. You spend more, you can spend $600 million a year on your payroll and penalties, so it just doesn't matter. It doesn't impact because it's not like, oh, we can't get the next thing because we spent on Edwin Diaz. Whereas for us, we're like, we can't get the next thing. We spent $120 million on five guys in our team.
No opportunity cost. You're 100% right. That's exactly it. And that's why the Dodgers play a different game. It's not their fault that they're doing it the way they should be doing it given the rules. It's just crazy that you'd have a sport where one team can operate so differently than the other 29 teams in the league. Craig, since we don't know what's going to happen, let's turn our attention quickly to our soccer team. They did come up with a point on the road over the weekend, fell behind very early, SDFC at Minnesota United, got the equalizer on a penalty kick from Anders Dreyer in the second half. Is that enough as they continue to languish below the playoff line in MLS soccer? There's told, hey, get a result on the road, then come back and win at home. Now we won't get to see an MLS match for a couple of weeks as they shift to the Leagues Cup. Give us some SDFC thoughts here.
Well, I thought that Saturday's match was a step in the right direction, obviously conceding in the third minute on yet another turnover from trying to build out of the back and having somebody's high press, dispossess you is frustrating. It's, turnovers in the back and late goals conceded have been the reasons why SDFC is under the playoff line instead of over the playoff line. I think the new kid they've added at right back, Dagger Dan Thorhalson, looks like he can be dynamic. This team is waiting for Ashuri to get his visa and to get cleared into play. And I think 4 points out of 9 in the 3 games you had coming back here is okay. It's not great. You would have definitely liked to have 5 points and get that result in Colorado. You would have loved to have gotten 7 points and pulled a win somewhere out of those 2. But you did get 4 out of 9. And now here comes Leagues Cup. And I think, guys, that Leagues Cup is uniquely harmful to San Diego FC compared to other teams in MLS because they do not have an academy. They don't have a second team that they can just pull up and say, we don't care. Play everybody with numbers 100 and above. We'll lose, to Club America and we'll move on. They have to play starters in these Leagues Cup games because they don't have the depth organizationally to be able to play 3 games in 12 days without doing that. So I'm really hoping that they're going to be able to find a lack of conviction to try and compete in these games, that they will use them essentially as spring training games to try and get some of these new players integrated while simultaneously trying to take pressure off the legs of the veterans like Tverskov and Dreyer and Ingvarsson on this team, and then just literally just get through it, punt the 3 games and get ready for LAFC on the 15th.
All right, Craig, it's going to be a very interesting next few hours. It'll be a very interesting next few days to the Padres as they take on the Arizona Diamondbacks, and certainly going to keep our stomach in knots for the next couple of months as this team tends to do.
Oh, I love it, fellas, and I always appreciate you having me on. And, of course, we'll have a full wrap-up on Padres Hot Tip tonight, a new main show to talk about whatever we do or don't do.
Thank you very much, Craig Elston, on our SDCCU fan hotline. It's not big bank banking. It is better. I think that's ultimately the truth. Whatever Woods the Padres end up doing today, we know how the next 2 months are going to play out. Every game's going to feel like live or die as they try to make the playoffs. And then if they do make the playoffs, they'll keep it interesting and probably break our hearts at the end of the season. That's kind of where this one's heading again, like so many seasons we've had in the past few years.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it's what baseball's all about, man. I'll tell you, like getting, here we are, it's August, whatever, and you couldn't be more excited for a Diamondbacks Padres series. This is as big as it gets. Going to be interesting to see who moves, into the Padres locker room, if anyone. I mean, if anyone. If there's not a deal to be made, don't make a deal just to make a deal. If you're AJ Preller today, it doesn't feel like it's one of those days where, you got to trade Mason Miller, you got to trade Adrian Morejon, you got to trade Michael King and Ty France. I mean, if you do, I guess I won't be surprised, but it just doesn't feel like that's what they're on the path of doing right now.
It's interesting. For whatever reason, they moved the trade deadline back from its normal home on the 31st of July to August 3rd. Had it been 3 days ago, Padres are at 500, or one game above 500 instead of 4. Like the Rangers are still in first place. Now they're 2.5 out and talking about selling DeGrom and even maybe Mackenzie Gore. I mean, what a change just 3 days have made, which doesn't make a lot of sense in a 162-game season, but here we are. We'll talk about it with Dennis Lin, our Linsider, who's been doing a ton of Padres reporting on the trade deadline. We'll also play a little Take on Woods, all coming up in hour number 3 of Ben and Woods here on 97.3 The Fan. We'll be right back. That, I guess, is
Halfway
my
home
cue.
on
Halfway
a
home on
Monday.
a Monday. I can't tell what Woods can hear and what he can't hear in Hawaii this morning. You can hear me.
I can't hear programs, so
Okay,
I have
so
no idea.
you
when
didn't hear the
anything
music.
happened.
That makes sense why you didn't start talking then. I get it now.
Yeah, sure.
Welcome back. It's Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. It is trade deadline day. Our thanks again to Craig Elston. Just joined us. He mentioned, Woods, of course, Joe Musgrove and Nick Pivetta being the ultimate wild card unknowns for the Padres the rest of the season. Hadn't really mentioned it, but they will be pitching tomorrow for the Lake Elsinore Storm. They've both been assigned on their first rehab official pitching assignment, and it'll come tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. The Storm playing an early game, so up in Lake Elsinore. I don't know how many Padres fans are going to make the trek up the 15 freeway, but you're going to have a chance to see both of them, a little 2-for-1 to see. I think they're both expected to just go a couple of innings for the Storm, and then possibly 2 more rehab assignments after that, and if it goes well, one or both of them could return by around August 22nd, which, of course, does change the equation again for the San Diego Padres. This is like a math problem where the numbers are never the same. So it's very difficult to get a read on exactly what the Padres need and what they are going to do today here at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I mean, the timing of it is, it'd be nice to get those guys back. The timing of it would have been a lot different, though, if those rehab starts would have been, let's say, 2 weeks ago, right? Just something as minuscule as that. 2 weeks ago, then you look and you go, hey, man, these guys are looking pretty good. That allows us to go be a little bit more aggressive maybe than we would have been at the deadline. Now you're like, are we aggressive at the deadline and then they don't come back, but we just gave up? You know what I mean? Like they're up against it right now, trying to figure out what the crystal ball looks like for this team moving forward. But as we've harped on all morning, if there are deals to be made, you can always get guys with multiple years of control. Don't know what you're going to have to give up. Probably one of those arms in the bullpen to get something like that. But yeah, the timing of it could have been much better for the San Diego Padres this year.
All right, just 2 minutes ago, Joel Sherman reporting Padres determined to add at least one starting pitcher in this market. Yeah, we've been hearing that as well. He says the Giants' Robbie Ray is among those they have interest in. We have heard so many names thrown out, wild names the last couple of days, and even wilder name with the San Francisco Giants. Did anyone see the Rafael Devers rumor that A.J. Preller is thinking of trying to add Rafi Devers from the Giants? I don't see how that works at all, Woods, but any thoughts when you saw that this weekend?
I mean, I like guys that can hit.
I was going to say, it works because he mashes.
He's a good hitter. I mean, we need good hitters. I like guys that can absolutely mash, and he can mash. So I would have less than zero problem with Rafael Devers coming here. I don't know what it looks like money wise or prospect wise or anything like that, but I don't know, man. I would take a look if you could fleece somebody out of Rafi Devers, which the Giants did to the Red Sox. If you could find a way to get them to pay down to get rid of him, some of it, I have to look at that all day long.
J.P. Morosi reporting the Rangers have spoken with teams about Nathan Eovaldi, but 2 barriers to a deal. He's got a full no-trade clause, and he's under contract for $24 million next season. I think the Rangers are now one of the more interesting teams here at the deadline. If we have time, we'll do an MLB reach around, but they got swept over the weekend by the Houston Astros. Completely changes the calculus in the AL West. Rangers are now 2.5 games back and headed the wrong direction. Houston seems to be doing this late season rise like they have done the past couple of years, headed toward winning the West. And instead of being buyers, which I would have thought the Rangers like a week ago were probably going to be buyers, now they look more clearly like they are going to be sellers at the deadline, which opens up a few more interesting names. The expensive ones, obviously, like Jacob deGrom, but Mackenzie Gore is a name that's been brought up a few times, obviously someone that has connections with the San Diego Padres organization.
What do you think? There's a couple of other interesting teams that are out there today. I mean, the Nationals, are they going to end up moving off of C.J. Abrams is a rumor I keep hearing. And I don't know that I understand why. He's not a free agent after this year,
No,
right?
he's got control. I've heard the Red Sox associated as they're looking for a shortstop. Corey Seager is a name that I've heard associated with the Padres in the past, but again, giant contract through I think like 2031. Don't know how the Padres could absorb that along with their other big deals, but AJ Preller does like those sexy big names like Corey Seager. So, and the Nationals, yeah, I think they're sellers now as well. I mean, selling Luis Garcia Jr. was a clear sign of what direction they're heading. The only pitcher they really have is Foster Griffin. But he could potentially, their only all-star, be on the market. Their only all-star pitcher going to be on the market here as well. The Cardinals may be sellers now after they've kind of started to fall out of playoff contention. They were holding a wild card for much of the season, Woods, and they've started, as we thought eventually would, kind of crumble back to the pack. I don't know, Dustin May is a name that's been brought up a couple of times. I don't see how the Padres make a run with aged Dodgers Walker Buehler and Dustin May kind of anchoring the middle of their rotation here the next couple of months, but I'd have to assume it's one of the things that's being discussed and is on the table out there.
Yeah, I imagine that it is. And I don't know, man. I just keep going back to, can you win a World Series? And, as this team stands today, no, the answer is no. I don't think you can. I don't think that's being doomorous at all. I think that's trying to be objective, actually, and knowing that the chaos can work certainly in the playoffs. But
what teams other than the Dodgers can win a World Series in your mind right now? Just like right now, as constructed.
As constructed today.
I mean, we just saw the Red Sox sweep the Dodgers. They've got to feel pretty good right now. They've won an insane. I think they went 14-2 going into the break and are now 14-3 coming out of the break. So 28-5. In their last 33 games, including a sweep of the Dodgers. If you're a Red Sox fan, you've got to feel like you're now the clear favorites in the American League, even over a team like the Tampa Bay Rays or the New York Yankees, just based on how hot you've been. Are they a team that you think can win the World Series?
Today, as it stands, no.
I don't either. I just don't see it.
I think they need more help. But I do think they have a lot more prospect capital to trade from than we do. I think they have more money to spend than we do. Now, whether they'll spend it is that remains to be seen. It's funny, man. I look at the Brewers and I go, yeah, sorry, man. I watched this same story play out last year. Like I had you gone out and gotten Skubal, sure, then we'll have a conversation. But I look at it and I just go, I don't see you hitting enough in October. I know you have 135, plus 135 run differential. They had that last year. What's it going to look like when you square off against Yamamoto, Snell, and Glasnow again? Can the Atlanta Braves win a World Series? Maybe. I give them a decent shot.
Do they have enough pitching, though? I mean, even after adding Tyler Mahle, I don't think that doesn't move the needle for me that much. Too many pitching injuries for the Braves.
Yeah, they have a ton. So I again, it does lead you to have that feeling of like, okay, maybe this is just a foregone conclusion that the Dodgers win it. What are their odds now? Like 40% or something insane.
Which still tells you that other teams have to have a chance, except that other 60% is divided so small among all the other teams that no one really feels like it's worth it to make a major investment into their roster, I think, to challenge the team that has the 40% chance. It doesn't mean the Dodgers will win the World Series.
Dodgers have a 30% chance on Fangraphs. The next closest would be the Yankees at 11%.
That seems a little high, even for me.
Brewers, 8.8.
I think if the Yankees got Adrian Morejon and Mason Miller, they'd have a much better shot at it, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that sentiment. If they could upgrade their bullpen immensely. I mean, I think the American League teams have a better chance because they don't have to get through the Dodgers to get to the World Series. There will be an American League team in the World Series that then gets their one chance at a best-of-7 series. And a couple of crazy things happen. Sure, you can see any American League playoff contender as being that team right now that gets their shot at the Dodgers. And if, baseball craziness happens, they can win it. That's why they probably have more of an incentive to go in than, say, some of the National League teams. The best argument for the National League teams is that one of them gets a best-of-5 chance at the Dodgers, which is even more subject to a little random craziness than even a 7-game series. You get best of 5 against the Dodgers in the divisional round, whoever that is, and you go, hey, I mean, we just get a couple of games where a couple of lucky things happen to us, and we could win this series. That's the biggest threat to the Dodgers, is they have to win a 5-game series against someone to win their World Series. And we've seen a couple of times where that 5-game series has either tripped them up or almost tripped them up in the last couple of years. That makes it so they can't get all the way.
They didn't have Scooble.
That's
now
true.
They do.
Yeah, they do.
He's really, really good.
Glasnow and Snell coming back. They'll pitch out of the bullpen or something in a 5-game series.
But even Tarek Skubal can have one bad game in the playoffs.
Good.
I mean, that's the thing in a short series. Even Tarek Skubal.
And they'll just bring in Blake Snell.
And he
Correct.
can have a bad game in the playoffs. We've
Then
seen
they'll
that
bring
as well.
in Tyler Glasnow.
Well, okay. Maybe they all can't have bad games. That's why they're favorites so overwhelmingly. You can keep bringing in pitchers, but at some point you're behind. You lose that game, you lose another one, and your season is now hanging in the balance in a game 5, perhaps.
I am so weirdly calm and serene with the Padres doing like nothing. Really, like nothing. If they do nothing, I don't think I'm that upset, because the alternative of, a Miller, a Morejon, a King, a France, even at this point, right? Like, I think if they did literally nothing, stood pat, I think I'd be like, all right, that's kind of what they deserve.
And just ride and take your chances.
Yeah, that's kind of what they deserve.
Would you not feel bad at all at the end of the year if they don't make the playoffs, and then you're like, God, I probably should have traded Morejon, and should have traded France. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only risk you run if you don't do anything. Like we've talked about it in the past. Like, maybe holding might be sometimes the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's the worst thing for this team in particular, man. I really don't, because we've seen the tumultuous, crazy deadlines before, and the thing is, you don't want to say nothing's ever worked, but frankly, nothing's ever worked. The way that these guys have played, and honestly, the way that with the ownership change and AJ having to build this team through scrap heap guys. And it's still a mediocre record. 3 games over 500 it's a mediocre. That's a mediocre baseball club, right? So I'm fine with them not mortgaging even one shred of the future, doing a little reset. Unless you can get back controllable arms or something. I'm just really okay with it. And like Glenn says, it's not in AJ Preller's DNA. Bill says he'd be disappointed. The team's worked hard to get back in contention. Okay, yeah. I mean, if making the playoffs is cool. It's great, but not at the constant expense of mortgaging the future. So if they did nothing, I think I would be weirdly okay with it.
I think the players, if they do nothing, aren't disappointed. As long as they don't trade away a bunch of guys, I think the players go, all right, here we are. We still got a team that's been playing well. Give us a chance to continue to do what we've been doing. I think that's all you can ask for if you're on the roster. You just don't want them to take away from what you've already had. And speaking of that, a little breaking news, Mason Miller. Don't worry, Padres fans, he was not traded. He was just named the National League Pitcher of the Month for July, which is not really a surprise. If I go back to September of last year, National League Pitcher of the Month, Mason Miller. April of this year, National League Pitcher of the Month, Reliever of the Month, Mason Miller. May, National League Reliever of the Month, Mason Miller. June, National League Reliever of the Month, Gohan Duran of the Philadelphia Phillies. But back to July, National League Reliever of the Month, Mason Miller. 4 out of the last 5 months in the National League, he's been the Reliever of the Month. He does it yet again, which is why his return would be insane if you tried to trade him, but it doesn't look like the Padres are going to do so. You have a guy who is the best reliever almost every month. He picks up the baseball in a San Diego Padres uniform. That's a weapon right there.
That's a weapon. There's really none like him. Everyone's so mad at you right now for that bid, by the way.
Terrible. It wasn't a bid. It's news. I did say he wasn't traded right away. I just said it was breaking news involving Mason Miller.
There's a delay.
Just a few seconds, but we're fine. We're alive. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by GL Pools, the swimming pool experts trusted by thousands of San Diegans for 20 years. Baseball season is in full swing. So is swim season. Make sure your pool is ready. Call now, mention radio for 20% off new service plans in 2026. And if you want to call us right now, you can be our contestant for our first game of Take on Woods. And we have a weekly prize. You don't even have a monthly grand prize. This week, you can qualify for a chance to win 2 tickets to Muse at North Island Credit Union Amphitheater on August 29th. So if you want to call in and play a limited Take on Woods game for concert tickets this week, call now, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We'll come back with our game and any more trade deadline news that comes down the pike with Bennett Woods, live from our Bill House studios. We know how on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Hey, player, this is all yours. This room with this view. This speakeasy with this cocktail. Hey, could you make that too? The spa with this. Ah. And this pool on this roof. This is all for you. The all-new Hamul Casino Resort, now open.
hour. Before we get to Take on Woods, just got this tweet in. Listening to Ben and Woods this morning. Ben Higgins' SD rant on the Dodgers is the most idiotic thing I've ever heard on the radio. An old man just yelling into the mic was pathetic. An emotional mess whose parents obviously didn't tell him they loved him enough. Well, that's just not true.
Wow.
My parents, very often, especially Mom, always telling me that she loves me. She's very good at that. So I don't think that's what it was. I think I'm just a little frustrated by baseball's economic system, and it spilled over this morning. But thank you, Manny, for sharing your insight on Ben Higgins' psychological status.
Well, I have a lot to weigh in on your psychological status as well.
All right, Woodsy, we got a contestant on the line. You want to play a little game? Let's do it.
It's time for Take on Woods.
Woods. Woods.
Take on Woods, brought to you by Bay Alarm, security and fire alarms for every business. We got you. And to start our new game this week, we've got Thomas on the line. Hello, Thomas.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, thanks for calling in. Here's what you've got. A chance to qualify for a weekly grand prize rather than a monthly grand prize. It is 2 tickets to see Muse at North Island Credit Union Amphitheater on August 29th. You can get your tickets now at Ticketmaster.com or win them by beating or tying Woods in one of these 3 categories. We've got music, which is 5 songs that found new life, number ones that were released a long time ago and then years later or decades later became hits. We've got Going to School, that's our movies category, 5 movie titles with school in the title. And TV shows, we've got 5 television series that are about TV shows. So TV shows are the theme of each of the TV categories. All right, if that makes any sense to you, you get to choose music, movies, or television here today on Take on Woods, Thomas.
Let's do movies.
All right, movies. Going to School. That's the simplest one, I think. We've got 5 movie titles. All have the word school somewhere in the title. You'll have 60 seconds to answer as many as you can. If you don't know one, pass. We'll come back to it if there's time left on the clock. First question's our 2-second movie clip, which Paulie will play. You've got that one, right? All right,
ready.
We're good to go. All right, and then you need to identify the movie based on the clip. All right, the category is Going to School. Thomas, let's put 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paulie plays our clip. Good luck. Let's Take on Woods. 30-somethings Luke Wilson, Will Ferrell, and Vince Vaughn. Correct. Rodney Dangerfield performs a triple Lindy off the... Correct. Brendan Fraser plays David Green, who hides his Jewish identity after enrolling at St. Matthew's Academy in which 1992 drama. In 2006, Zac Efron helped spark which song and dance franchise that spawned 3 sequels?
Wow.
All right, let's go back to our 2-second clip.
'Pass.
All right, Brendan Fraser plays David Green, who hides his Jewish identity after enrolling at St. Matthew's Academy in which 1992 drama. Running out of time.
School Days.
Oh, so close. In 2006, Zac Efron helped spark which song and dance franchise that spawned... Out of time. School Ties, not School Days for Brendan Fraser. High School Musical starring Zac Efron, and that was School of Rock. Jack Black in the first one. You got Old School. Back to school. Let's get Woodsy text back in from Hawaii and get him back in. And we'll see if he can beat the score that Thomas just locked in. Woods, can you hear us? Are you going to be able to? Is he going to be able to hear any of this?
I hope so.
I can hear you. I don't know that I can hear what you play. So let's try.
Well, that'll make it a little harder for you. The movies category today is called Going to School. Okay. All right, 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paulie plays our clip. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Thomas.
That's School of Rock.
Correct. 30-somethings Luke Wilson, Will Ferrell, and Vince Vaughn start a fraternity in which 2003 comedy.
Old School.
Correct. Rodney Dangerfield performs a triple Lindy off the diving...
Back to School.
Correct. Brendan Fraser plays David Green, who hides his Jewish...
School Ties.
Correct. In 2006, Zac Efron helped spark which song and dance franchise that spawned 3 sequels?
Is it High School Musical?
It is. Very well done, Woods. 5 out of 5. That's a winner today in our movie category, Going to School. Well done, even from thousands of miles away in Hawaii.
So far away. Holy cow.
All right, let's take a timeout. When we come back, Dennis Lin, some reporting just this morning debunking one of the big Padres rumors. We'll get an update on that and anything else he's hearing about the Padres trade deadline moves. We didn't miss any passing bombs during Take on Woods, did we?
There was one, not a
giant one,
but who was it? Sutter,
Brent Suter, the Angels sent a left-handed pitcher, Brent
Braves.
Suter, to the Braves. All right, Jeff.
I feel like he
Passan
was
did that.
already a Brave.
Does feel like it as well. So that was the only move in the last few minutes, but we will keep dropping anything new. Clay Holmes of the Mets drawing a lot of attention. No surprise there. The Brewers are among those interested. Got to imagine the Padres are calling as well. We'll talk to Dennis Lin about all of it coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. First, though, tell me about SDFatLoss.com. I had a couple of people this weekend reach out and ask me about the program. Really couldn't recommend it any more strongly. If you're trying to lose weight, want to lose weight quickly and sustainably, there's no better way. GLP-1 injections are one route to go. I didn't want to do that. I did not want to have to take injections every week, possibly forever, to keep the weight off. I was looking for something more sustainable. And with SDFatLoss.com, I found it. You can lose up to a pound of fat per day and 10 to 20% of your body weight simply by following their strategies and their coaching techniques about what to eat and when to eat. And it's all based on real foods. You don't have to buy anything extra like shakes or bars or prepackaged meals. I ate chicken, I ate steak, I lost weight. I lost 40 pounds in 60 days without any exercise. If that sounds like something you'd like, then get a free consultation at SDFatLoss.com. And then if you sign up for the program, you can take $200 off. I have kept that weight off for 3+ years. You can be the next success story at SDFatLoss.com. That's SDFatLoss.com. Results may vary.
He just, oh, here, I'll show you a little. Just a little.
Please don't.
Just a little bit. What hurts on you?
Nothing at all.
A little bit.
Not that now.
So let's say
whatever you're about to touch is the only thing.
Let's say
It's gonna hurt.
Right?
All right, yeah.
Okay.
Pretend your knee hurts.
Pretend your knee.
It's going to in a second.
Right here.
Oh, that is not pleasant.
Hey, player, this is all yours. This room with this view. This speakeasy with this cocktail. Hey, could you make that too? The spa with this. Ah. And this pool on this roof. This is all for you. The all-new Hamul Casino Resort, now open.
Ben Woods on Trade Deadline Day, brought to you by David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys, helping good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. Everybody on pins and needles waiting to see what A.J. Preller does. And again, I think it's a more of what he's going to do, not if he's going to do it. But one of the people covering it most closely is standing by. So let's get to our Linsider, Dennis Lin from The Athletic.
Happy Monday, Padres fans. It's time to discuss the weekend that was for the Padres with our Ben and Woods Linsider, Dennis Lin from The Athletic. Brought to you by Hamul Casino Resort. Hey, player, the rooftop pool's open, day passes are available, and the spa is calling your name. Hamul Casino Resort, the player's place.
Good morning, Dennis. Before we get into the Padres specifics, how do you operate on this day? Trying to break news. I mean, working with your athletic colleagues, obviously, you've got some big names on the roster. How does this day operate for someone like yourself?
Number one, I try to stay hydrated. Need some fluids to get through a day like this. But I don't envy people who cover the sport nationally because there's so much going on in this day. So I do enjoy having the benefit of getting to mostly focus on one team. Occasionally hear something about other teams and try to pass it along. But I think for the most part, I just try to close my eyes every once in a while and maybe take a short nap. But there's not much to it. It's just really a lot of staring at Twitter and staring at your phone and hoping people text you back. Trying not to bother people too much. It's not the most pleasant part of this job, but it's part of the job. So every year it's AJ Preller Day, and I know he hasn't done anything yet, but in theory, the closer it gets to the deadline, the more prices drop, and I think that's what he's banking on.
Dennis, let's start with the reporting you did this morning with your Yankees colleague Brendan Cootie. That the rumor yesterday was that supposedly the Yankees had offered Will Warren, starting pitcher, in exchange for Adrian Morejon, and that AJ Preller turned that deal down. We rarely hear such specific rumors. We hear general talking to this guy, talking to that guy. These guys have been discussed. That was very specific, and your reporting this morning says that's not exactly what happened. Can you explain?
Right. So I guess the reports that have been out there, and I'll preface this by saying it's usually not standard practice, or at least something you'd love to do in this business is, I guess, refuting another outlet's report, or refuting the report of someone you know. And Brendan, I do know Bob Nightingale. I consider him a friend, and I'm not saying that what he reported was not discussed. It's just as far as Brendan and I understand, that was not formally on the table, that offer. And I've heard the same rumor. I think that's been out there this morning, that it was actually not only Will Warren for Adrian Morejon, it was Will Warren plus a prospect for Adrian Morejon. But our understanding, again, Brendan and I, is that that was not seriously a formal offer. Maybe it was discussed at some point, but I think if it was on the table, actually, there was a very good chance that AJ Preller would have taken it. Because if you look at it on the surface, it's 4+ years of a controllable starter. I know people are looking at Will Warren's numbers; they're not blowing anyone away, but he's 27, and what did the Padres need more than pretty much anything? Is starting pitching, and beyond this year, controllable starting pitching. So I do think it's plausible that if it was actually offered, yeah, maybe AJ Preller would have turned it down. But our understanding is it was not, officially offered, even though it might have been discussed. So that's where things lie. I don't expect Adrian Morejon to get moved, but this maybe speaks to the fact that there are some pretty big offers, or at least theoretical offers, on the table. But again, I don't think this was a formal offer.
Talking to Dennis Lin from The Athletic, our Linsider, and just to let everybody know, because of the technical difficulties we've had with Woods, he couldn't hear Dennis, so we're going to let him.
He was going to leave at 9 anyway.
Yeah, he was going to leave at 9. We're going to have Kyle Glazer coming by to talk about the trade deadline as well. So we'll just continue here on with Dennis, and since it's not Will Warren right now, other names have come off the board today, yesterday, like Jose Soriano, Kevin Gossman. What direction are the Padres going to head? Are you as convinced as some people that they will definitely add starting pitching today, Dennis?
Oh, I'm convinced. It's just what level of starting pitcher will they get? If you look at it, there's still quite a few starting pitchers out there who have not been traded, who are expected to be traded. Some, like Robbie Ray, who they have some interest in, they make a lot more money than certain other guys. And I know it's Preller, so nothing can be ruled out, but I'm not expecting them to take on a ton of salary before the deadline. Maybe if there's a situation where they can get the other team to pay down a lot of someone's remaining salary, that's on the table. But you're looking at guys like Clay Holmes, who I think his asking price is really high, and there are teams with a lot deeper farm systems in on him. But I think you're pretty much looking at any guy who's still left. It's just a matter of, again, like I said, how much money the Padres are willing to to pay and how many prospects they're willing to give up. And it's not a lot of prospects, right, compared to other farm systems, because this is the consensus 30th ranked farm system, and most people objectively would agree this is the thinnest AJ Preller's farm system has ever been. But at the same time, he could do what he did last summer, trading for Ryan O'Hearn, and Ramon Laureano was trading basically half an entire draft class for maybe a rental or a guy who's not under control for very long. But yeah, I'm convinced they're going to get somebody. It's just a matter of maybe continuing to wait out the market a little more and hoping that some of these prices come down.
I said earlier that the most AJ guy that appears on the market to me right now is Hunter Green. Years of control, tantalizing talent, injury concerns, but that's never really stopped AJ before. The question is the asking price. And if I'm the Reds, I mean, Ethan Salas is the first name and maybe the only name that I bring up in that conversation. I don't think that the Padres want to trade Ethan Salas. I don't think they'd want to do it for Hunter Green. So my guess is AJ is working the phones to see if there's a three-way deal, anything that he could do to probably make that happen without giving up Salas. How do you evaluate that convoluted statement and whether you think Hunter Green is a viable target for the San Diego Padres?
Yeah, I'm with you, Ben. I don't think it's that convoluted. Number one, I think he would love Hunter Green. I think he's always loved Hunter Green. Not just because it's Hunter Green, but because, just it fits the Adrian Preller kind of just motto, just star player, a lot of upside. He's got team control, and when he's healthy, when he's right, he's, arguably like a top 10, top 15 starting pitcher. And the way that Preller tries to build his roster is that he goes for high upside, high risk, right? Like that's kind of his model for trying to win in October. And the Padres, I know they're trying to get there right now, but if Hunter Green and stay healthy the rest of the season, he would obviously help. But yeah, with the control that's left there, the Reds, I would think, would definitely ask for Ethan Salas to start and probably want more on top of that. And I'm with you again. I don't think AJ Preller wants to trade Ethan Salas. I think he's not untouchable for the right person. Someone like Hunter Green, another Hunter out there, Hunter Goodman. I know this is super unlikely. I think Ethan Salas would be on the table there, but he's only one call away from the majors right now. And as crazy as it sounds, I think there is a chance he gets called up before September even. If he's not traded to help with the playoff race, as much of a risk for his development as that would be. So yeah, I don't see Ethan Salas trade out there. Although, yeah, it sounds kind of like a cop out, but I wouldn't be surprised at the same time or shocked if he's traded. I just would be, lean more toward the surprised, I guess, spectrum of that. So Hunter Green, don't see him happening. Do I think AJ Preller has asked about him? I think so.
Dennis Lynn says AJ Preller is possibly hunting hunters, but doesn't have enough ammunition to land either of the hunters, if I read that all correctly. Is that too much?
Settle down.
Dennis, what was your reaction to the Tarek Skubal trade over the weekend? Seems like everybody has had an outsized reaction. I had one this morning. And again, I don't blame the Dodgers for doing it. I'm not even mad that the Dodgers did it, but I am starting to get frustrated with a system that seems like that one team can operate under one set of rules that doesn't really apply to the other 29.
Yeah, I didn't really have much reaction other than that's where I expected him to go. I know that's where a lot of people with the Padres expected him to go. And yeah, if you look at it, they just they did. I think the Brewers could have beat that offer, depending on who you ask. There's other teams, the Tampa Bay Rays could have beat that offer, but the Dodgers just have such a deep system, and they clearly did not want the Milwaukee Brewers to pair Tarek Skubal with Jacob Mizorowski, so they pulled the trigger, and I'm just, I guess, maybe a little surprised by relatively how little they paid. But there are people who will tell you this Brady Smith guy who I've never heard of, who went to Detroit in this deal. He's actually really intriguing and pretty good. So we'll see how it pans out in a few years, how these prospects, the Tigers got, how they pan out. But yeah, I think there definitely are other teams who could do it. So I guess I will partially disagree with you there, but it's just I don't know why. Maybe teams just kind of figured, the Dodgers going to get him anyway. So maybe there's some teams that just didn't try that hard.
Speaking of Dodgers trades, this one much, much, much smaller. Just pulled off another one while we were talking. They have acquired catcher Ben Rortvedt from the Mets for minor league pitcher Chase McDermott. As Jason Stark reports, it's the third time in the last 368 days that the Dodgers have acquired Ben Rortvedt. Twice gotten rid of him, got him back. Of course, they've been dealing with the Will Smith injury all season long and trying to find extra catching to pair with Dalton Rushing throughout the year. So obviously just a stopgap there, Dennis, until Will Smith eventually returns, which is not supposed to happen until maybe late in the regular season, closer to the playoffs.
Yeah, that's interesting. I will say this, it's speaking of catching, this might surprise people. I don't think it surprises anyone like actually working inside baseball, but Freddie Fermin is a guy who's gotten some interest over the past month or so, even though, he's hitting whatever he's hitting, but the catching market is just that thin. There's been teams who've checked in on him. I don't know if the Padres want to risk going, Campy, Rodolfo Duran, maybe Ethan Salas at some point with a pretty veteran pitching staff down the stretch. That'd be a pretty big risk. If you're taking out your best, staff manager and Freddie Fermin and your best defender behind the plate. But yeah, that kind of tells you the state of the catching market these days is that Freddie Fermin, he's gotten some interest.
I've been one of the bigger Campy backers in San Diego, and the bat has been terrific. But even I have to admit, catching's been rough lately. I mean, not framing, but not always catching the ball lately behind the plate. I mean, what's the thinking there, for the organization on Campusano? Is he ever going to kind of make the next step defensively behind the plate that they've been looking for?
Well, I will say, I think earlier this year, before he got hurt, he looked more engaged and he looked better behind the plate than ever before. Now, he obviously missed a lot of time. He's come back and he's hitting really well. So that's the number one thing that they care about is the offense, because, that's kind of his calling card, and the defense, there's still a lot of rough edges in a lot of ways. They can live with that if he's hitting, 300 and getting on base in front of Fernando Tatis Jr. So I think, what he's giving them right now is what they're totally happy with. The defense is not ideal, but there's going to be trade-offs with every player, and with him, this happens to be a trade-off. And I think right now they're happy with this going forward.
All right, finally, Dennis, huge 4-game series that begins tonight in Arizona, and the Padres start by hopefully capitalizing on the gamble they made yesterday of pushing Michael King back. Made them very vulnerable in that last game, give Tatis a day off, go with another bullpen game, but they made it work with the win, potentially reaping the rewards today with a Michael King who's been very good against the Diamondbacks in his career.
Yeah, I think the move makes a lot of sense. The way Stammen explained it yesterday before the game, and I think after the game too, is part of this is wanting to split up his two starters in the rotation right now. That obviously theoretically lessens the workload on your relievers, your 11-man bullpen going, like 3 days in a row. We have bullpen days. The Padres ideally would have 1 or 2 starters to add here in the next several hours, so they don't have to go 3 out of 5, pretty much essentially bullpen days. But getting Michael King and Walker Buehler split up at least should help with that in theory. And then, just to everyone's point, it's the D-backs, the team they're chasing. You want your best starter going against them, and they were able to pull off, Kyle Hart, who's been really good in his kind of hybrid opener, bulk reliever role the past week or so, past 2 weeks. They were able to pull it off against an inferior team in the Giants. So I think the move makes a lot of sense.
All right, Dennis, go out, break some news. Appreciate your time this morning, and we'll have lots to react to when we talk to you next Monday. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Ben.
All right, there he is, Dennis Lynn, our Linsider, brought to you by Hamul Casino. And, of course, all guests on Ben and Woods appear on our SDCCU fan hotline. SDCCU, it's not big bank banking. It is better. Sad that we lost Woods. Technical difficulties were
we didn't
little...
lose him. I mean, he's still with us.
I mean, he's with us. Well, he's with us right now. Just bring him back onto the screen at least so we can see his beautiful, smiling face. Maybe we just have that up for the rest of the show. Just you and me and Woods on vacation. I mean, look how good he looks. Look how happy he is.
Yeah.
Just sitting there.
Was that about
makeshift studio.
3:15 in the morning? in Hawaii.
He can just have him pop in from time to time. We're going to talk to Kyle Glazer, veteran baseball writer. He's going to be part of our coverage all day long here on 97.3 The Fan when it comes to the trade deadline. He'll join us next. We'll continue to follow any breaking news. My guess is 6 hours to go now until the trade deadline. Could happen a lot next couple of hours, so keeping our ear to it here on 97.3 The Fan. We'll be right back. Final hour of Ben and Woods on a trade deadline Monday, but don't go anywhere. We're going to have a continuing coverage throughout the day with Braden and Frank, the Gwynn and Chris program. And joining them throughout the day is going to be veteran baseball writer Kyle Glazier. You can follow him on X at Kyle A. Glazier. And Kyle is online right now with us here on 97.3 The Fan. Kyle, good morning. Looking forward to having some trade coverage here all day long. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Always happy to be on with you guys and looking forward to being down at the station a little bit later.
And I will throw in that 97.3 The Fan's trade deadline coverage is presented by City Cruises Live. Experiences done different. First of all, we were just talking with Dennis Lynn about some of the Padres speculation. Give you a chance to now chime in on what you think A.J. Preller is going to do in the next 6 hours.
The reality is the Padres are going to look to add starting pitching. We've seen a lot of starters come off the board already. Of course, Tarek Skubal, but Freddie Peralta, Kevin Gausman, Jose Soriano, but there's still a lot of good arms out there, whether it's a rental like Casey Mize. You also have guys like Reed Detmers who are under control. So it's a buyer's market for starting pitching right now. There's still a lot of good arms out there. The Padres have a little bit of a challenge in that their farm system is considerably thinner than most of the teams they're going to be going up against. But at the end of the day, I do expect them to acquire at least one starter, and preferably they want more.
And Kyle, you've covered the minors, including the Padres minors, extensively. Who are the names that would be most likely to be traded, especially if they try to keep Ethan Salas?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think a lot of it depends on how much control is left. But one of the things we've seen, and for me, the biggest takeaway of this trade deadline so far is the price for quality veterans is lower than it's ever been. I have been shocked at how little teams are having to give up in prospects or young players for established stars, even guys with multiple years of control. So while I would have said, maybe it's someone like a Joniel Hernandez, one of the Padres' best international talents, currently tearing it up in the DSL, they might not even have to do that. It might be someone, Garrett Hawkins and one or two other guys, some interesting-ish kind of arms. I mean, that's kind of what we're seeing in this market right now. A lot of guys who are like, oh, he's kind of interesting, is landing like an impact player, which has been shocking to me.
So I would speculate then, if that is true, and I think you're kind of on the right track, then it would behoove A.J. Preller to wait as long as possible. And in the final hours when teams are going, hey, we got to deal them before we run out of time, let's just go with this offer. You're going to get the best deal as a buyer at the deadline of pitching if you wait until the last, 15 minutes. Now, that can give everybody a heart attack when you do it that way, but do you see that, foresee that as a possibility that we may not get these deals done until very late in the clock?
Realistically, there's always going to be deals that don't get done until very late in the clock, and especially when we're talking about the Padres, every year we've seen them make an early deal and make a deal right at the buzzer and a whole bunch of deals in between. So I think that's a reasonable expectation. What I would say about that's where they'll get the best offer or the best, they'll have to pay the least. The issue is you don't want to wait it out so long and get beat. If you look up in 3 or 4 hours and the Padres took that approach and Casey Mize is off the board and Reed Detmers is off the board and Robbie Ray's off the board, all of a sudden you're kind of scrambling maybe for someone who isn't that good. So it's a bit of a balancing act. Again, given the Padres' history and track record here, I think we'll see 1 or 2 early moves and definitely 1 or 2 at the buzzer.
Talking to Kyle Glazier on our SDCCU fan hotline. It's not big bank banking, it's better. Get your reaction to this morning's biggest move, which I think would be Luis Arraez to the Philadelphia Phillies of all teams. And maybe for the same reason why I didn't expect him to go to the Padres, I felt like the Phillies would have to do too much lineup juggling and infield juggling to make Arraez work, but apparently they're going to try it. And according to the latest reporting, Bryce Harper is going to move back to the outfield to accommodate this move. How do you think it's going to work out for the Phillies with Luis Arraez?
Anytime you add a premium hitter, and yes, Luis Arraez is a premium hitter. I know there's people out there who say he isn't because they don't like his slugging percentage, but anytime you can add a premium hitter and one who, through his own work ethic, has actually turned himself into a decent second baseman this year, you add it. It is so hard to find elite contact hitters in this game. It's even harder to find elite contact hitters who are middle infielders. If you can get one, you do it. So I think it's a good move for the Phillies. How well Harper plays in the outfield, look, there's going to be some situations where they're going to have to DH and give him some days off. You don't want him running around out there for, the remainder of the season every day. But this is a talented enough team with enough pieces that you can give guys days off and still be dangerous. I think they'll figure it out.
Of course, the Phillies, Kyle, are one of the two teams just a game ahead of the Padres for the last playoff spots in the National League. The Diamondbacks are the other team. Padres will face them in 4 games, huge games starting tonight. What might Arizona be doing here at the deadline? Are they going to be aggressively shopping, buying, or do they not feel like it's worth it to invest a ton right now? Because that'll have a big impact on the Padres' chances the rest of the season as well.
They're going to buy. Mike Hazen has been wanting to buy for weeks and weeks and weeks. And really, the Diamondbacks sweep of the Dodgers going into the All-Star break, that really put them on a huge upswing. I mean, this is a legitimately good team. I've watched them closely. I think, waving them away as, they just got hot, they'll fall off. There's a lot of talent here. They play good, hard, aggressive baseball. They're great defensively. They can beat you a lot of different ways. I fully expect them to buy. Again, there's a lot of competition in the market for buyers right now, but they have enough prospects to make compelling offers. I would be shocked if we look up and the Diamondbacks haven't added. I expect at least one starting pitcher and maybe even some bullpen help with Paul Sewald kind of, going haywire here recently.
Where do you land on the idea? Man, I think it's fair. I know it frustrates fan bases, but that the Dodgers are so far and away ahead of everyone that it kind of changes the calculus for other buyers at the deadline, knowing there's a bit of a ceiling that they're going to bump into, and unless they get lucky in a short series against the Dodgers, we might be playing for second place in the National League.
Every team wants to compete. I can tell you right now the Phillies don't think that way. I can tell you right now the Brewers, as much as they really screwed up and not offering more for Tarek Skubal, they're not going to go in with that mindset. There's enough teams out there who say, hey, we have the horses, we play good enough baseball, we believe. And yeah, I mean, I think the Dodgers are undisputably the favorites. But if you look at the Phillies lineup when they're all playing at their absolute best, it wouldn't be insane to say, yeah, I could see the Phillies taking them out in 5. It just comes down to who's hot, who's hurt, guys having a bad day at the wrong time or the best series of their life at the right time. I think at the end of the day, yes, the Dodgers are the favorite, but this idea that every other team is just going to not add what they need to and accept second place, that's just not how the mindset of any of these guys work.
But I explained earlier my thinking why the Brewers or Rays didn't make a stronger offer for multiple reasons, including their unlikelihood of being able to sign Tarek Skubal to a giant free agent contract, and both teams, reliance on their internal prospects to continue to keep them competitive into the future, which makes the opportunity cost just so much less, for the Dodgers to make this deal than any other team, that it's much harder for teams like the Brewers and Rays to give up prospects to rent a pitcher for 2 months.
To a point, yes. But part of it is also those teams are so model driven, they refuse to budge off the model, and most models right now overvalue prospects. The other part of it is that argument goes out the window when you've actually built up enough organizational talent, majors and minors, that you can actually make these kind of moves. And that's exactly what the Brewers have done. The Brewers have 5 standout middle infielders in the organization and room for only 2 of them. Even if you want to keep Jesus Mate, that's fine. They have 3 other really good young middle infield prospects they could trade today without materially hurting their future in any way, shape, or form while massively upgrading their present. And because they are so rarely in that position and they're not comfortable in that position, they weren't comfortable pulling the trigger when they should have been. I would actually argue the Brewers, independent, yes, the long-term signing of Tarek Skubal, that's a wrinkle. But in terms of could we acquire him today while giving up guys that will not hurt us later, the Brewers have actually built up enough organizational depth where that was true for them as well. They just messed up.
It's almost like this is what you have that prospect capital for. Like I said this morning, Kyle, there's a lot of places to point your anger or your jealousy or the blame or whatever you want to call it after the trade that went down on Saturday. But I would have been furious if I woke up Sunday morning as a Brewers fan and going, we really couldn't have paired Skubal with Mizorowski for that package of prospects.
And by the way, add Kyle Harrison into that as well. Look, Brewers right now have Bryce Terang and Cooper Pratt in middle infield. They have Jesus Mate, another middle infield prospect, one of the best in baseball. They have no room for Luis Pena. Jet Williams will never play a significant role for them. Their value to them is solely in trade. And if they included those 2 with some others, that beats the Dodgers package. Again, they just messed up by being too attached to their model and also just not being comfortable with making trades like this, even though they put themselves in position to. This is a missed opportunity. And I'll tell you right now, if they had Skubal, Mizrowski, Harrison 1, 2, 3, they would have had a legit shot to take down the Dodgers in the NLCS. Now that Skubal's a Dodger, I mean, they missed their opportunity.
Why did the Tigers act so quickly? Knowing that maybe, given a couple of more days and who knows, a couple of more wins, that they could have potentially gotten more than what they received. What was the impetus for them to pull off a deal on Saturday night, almost 2 full days before the trade deadline?
There wasn't one. They did not need to do that. But at the end of the day, they've got a package. And again, I want to be clear. The package the Dodgers traded, these are good players. Zaire Hope is a good player who I actually do think has a legit chance to be a power speed outfielder. River Ryan's older, but he was a late conversion to pitching with real stuff, just needs to stay healthy. And Brady Smith's a good young pitcher. So these are good players. But for the Tigers, I mean, they basically, they rushed it. They said, okay, this is good enough, we'll take it. And they really should have waited and gotten more because they had an opportunity to get a lot more. And again, that was a miscalculation on their part.
Talking to Kyle Glazier, he's going to be in studio with more trade deadline coverage later today. And just want to let everybody know, we will carry live the A.J. Preller Zoom news conference scheduled for 4 o'clock discussing whatever the Padres end up doing today as well on the Gwynn and Chris program, which will feature Kyle Glazier. So stay tuned for all of that. A new rumor just being thrown out right now, Kyle, by Mark Feinsand. The Red Sox and Orioles are talking about Adley Rutschman. Per sources, there's a feeling that a deal could be completed at some point today. We just heard from Dennis Lin that the catching market is so thin that even Freddie Fermin has been, getting some interest from teams with the San Diego Padres, who may not be able to afford to lose Freddie Fermin because they're going to need a catcher the rest of the season to pair with Luis Campusano. What's your read on the catching market and what may happen there the rest of the day?
The catching market is always thin. Teams always need catching. And at the end of the day, you look at Adley Rutschman, and even though he hasn't been maybe the savior predicted Buster Posey 2.0, we're still talking about a switch hitting catcher who can hit for average, get on base, and hit for power, is a good defender and an elite leader in the clubhouse. All 30 teams would love to have him. And if you're the Orioles, who, again, just got shut out in back-to-back games by the Phillies and need a lot of pitching help, you understand that, hey, if we move him, we can get a lot that can help us, not just in future years, but even this year in terms of young starting pitching. So I understand exploring it. It will not come cheap, although I thought that about a couple players, and they've been remarkably cheap. So we'll see, but it doesn't surprise me that there's conversations happening because, yeah, every team always wants more catching.
Kyle, I think one of the interesting trades over the weekend was the Chicago White Sox adding Luis Castillo from the Seattle Mariners, offsetting some of the money by trading Sir Anthony Dominguez in a package. But Luis Castillo, very polarizing. Obviously not having a great season, but has been a very consistent starting pitcher. And I kind of look at like Chris Sale. You can have a bad year or even couple of years and still end up being an elite pitcher late into your 30s. I feel like this could end up being a big win for the White Sox, but I think I'm in the minority on that opinion. Where do you fall?
There's no question. When you look at Luis Castillo's track record, it's not like this guy hasn't been good in 3 years. This guy has been great for the last 3.5 years plus. Just this year, it's gone off the rails. I think the question I have is, we typically don't see teams, Seattle's one of the best pitching organizations in baseball. So going from a very pitcher-friendly park and a great pitcher organization to now a very hitter-friendly park and an organization that, while the White Sox have gotten better at pitching development, they're still not elite. I do wonder how that's going to factor in, but who knows, right? Sometimes maybe just click with a different coach or you click with a different message and all of a sudden you take off. I would not be shocked if we see Luis Castillo get back to, at minimum, being a solid pitcher, even if he doesn't get back to being top 10 Cy contender status. Yeah, it wouldn't shock me if he still ends up having, pretty good next few years.
And then the Luis Garcia Jr. trade to the Yankees from the Washington Nationals. I was a little surprised. I know there was 4 players going back, but not any of the top prospects that the Yankees sent. And what do you think of his chances of continuing to put up big numbers? Yankee Stadium, great hitters park, the AL East, great hitters division, but playing on the bright lights, I mean, New York is very different than playing for the Washington Nationals.
I think he's going to rake there. I've liked Luis Castillo since he was a young prospect, and he's been around so long. People forget how young he is. He just turned 26. We see hitters all the time take a leap at that exact age, and that's what's happening. you put him in Yankee Stadium. I mean, we're looking at 30 homers annually based off the power he's shown this year. I think this is a great trade for the Yankees. Look, the Nationals, I get it. At one point, they're only a game out of the playoffs, but they've really fallen back, and they need a lot of arms. And I understood the trade from their perspective because they needed a volume of arms. They needed a collection of arms. So getting 4 guys who each offer something, I did understand that for them just based on their organization and what they needed.
All right, last thing from me, and of course we'll have much more from Kyle Glazier later in the day. Are the Miami Marlins, who, by the way, just a half game behind the Padres right now and a game and a half out of a playoff spot, are they buyers or sellers or some combination of both at the deadline today?
Based on what's happening so far, there's a sense will be kind of a combination of both, that there might be places where they feel like selling makes sense to fill in other holes, but they also won't be afraid to buy for the right player. So they're an interesting one, and they always tend to do things a little bit differently, Peter Bendix especially. So we'll see. I'm going to be watching them because if they do decide to full-on sell, they have some really, really interesting players, both pitchers and position players. But yeah, given where they are in the playoff standings, they'd be perfectly justified, adding, 2 or 3 small pieces here and giving it a shot.
Call this wild, but if they do end up selling, why do I feel like Pete Fairbanks has always been a future Padre in the making, and just like completely not what A.J. Preller needs or is expected to do would be exactly what A.J. Preller does. It adds another closer to his team that already has about 6
Pays
of them.
a crazy price for it, and we're all going.
Tell me I'm wrong, Kyle. Tell me I'm wrong.
Oh no, you're not wrong. There's yes, everything from his velocity to his personality to Pete Fairbanks absolutely fits every mold of, hey, do we really need him? Do we have 3 other places we should add? Yeah, but we're just going to trade for him anyway. That absolutely would be very on brand.
They're going to overpay, and Ben's going to come in the morning and be like, well, look, actually, they've really just shortened the game by 1 more inning now, and this is actually a really good thing.
Yeah, I mean, again, I go back to like the Tanner Scott trade with the same team a few years ago. Tanner Scott is a great pitcher, and you understood the addition. The Padres really paid a lot more than they had to, and over time, it came back to hurt them a little bit because Robbie Snelling, even though he just got hurt, would look really good in the Padres uniform right now.
Kyle, really appreciate it. When are you officially back in studio with us later today?
I'm coming down at 12:30. I believe I jump on at 1
o'clock, and then right through the trade deadline at 3 p.m. With all of our hosts this afternoon with our live trade deadline coverage. Again, presented by City Cruises Live Experiences Done Different. Kyle, thank you so much for joining us. A little preview of what's to come.
My pleasure. Anytime, guys.
Kyle Glazier, veteran baseball writer, part of our 97.3 The Fan team today. Yeah, then when we do our Padres crap up and you give it 16 minutes of sulk, we'll have Pete Fairbanks already locked and loaded.
Oh, yeah.
In case the Padres do lose any games the rest of the season, which of course they won't. But
yeah, if he sticks around and he's here at spring training, we can have him re-record that line.
Perfect.
And put a new flair to it.
I don't know. I saw that and just thought that would be so the A.J. Preller move. We're all thinking starting pitching, bat. No. I'm going to get yet another closer for my team that already has Mason Miller and Adrian Morejon and Jason Adam coming back and Jeremiah Estrada and Bradley Rodriguez. No, I'm going to just get another closer to see if I can shorten the game even further. All right, we will come back. We still have an MLB reach around. Got to check the standings because, hey, that's really important with where we stand right now at the trade deadline. I talk about standings all year. Actually does matter today where you are in the standings. So we'll check the weekend results and more coming up next with Bennett Woods after a quick timeout here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Hey, player, this is all yours. This room with this view. This speakeasy with this cocktail. Hey, could you make that too? The spa with this. Ah. And this pool on this roof. This is all for you. The all-new Hamul Casino Resort, now open. Hey, player, this is all yours. This room with this view. This speakeasy with this cocktail. Hey, could you make that too?
Had a pair of bats come off the market during our commercial break. Welcome back. Thanks again to Kyle Glazer for joining us. And, of course, he'll be part of our trade deadline coverage. Ben Woods, brought to you by David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys, helping good people regain control of their future. When charged with a crime since 2010, visit davidpshapirolaw.com. First big move saw the Los Angeles Angels trading outfielder Joe Adell to the Cleveland Guardians. Joe Adell hit 37 home runs last season and still only put a 1.4 WAR season together. He's down to 16 home runs this year, and he's at negative 0.1 WAR. So other than power, Joe Adell doesn't give you much. Now, if it gets hot, Guardians will be like, hey, we need power, bat added to our lineup. That'll be outstanding. But I didn't realize how little value Joe Adell brought outside of his power bat. So
didn't he have the game earlier this year where he robbed like
runs?
3 home runs and hit like the only home run that won them the game? Something like that. That alone should have given him all his WAR for the whole
which means
season.
the rest of the season he's been about -1.5 because he won like a game right there.
Right.
So not a great year for Joe Adell, but he does go to the Cleveland Guardians. And then after that, we just found out that the Baltimore Orioles have traded Taylor Ward, the former Angel, and he is going to the Seattle Mariners. So the Angels picking up another outfield bat. So two outfielders, or the Mariners picking up outfield bats. So
Angels and Orioles look like they are selling hard.
Yeah, with Adley Rutschman potentially on the market, as was reported by Mark Feinsand earlier today. Orioles seem open for business. Two outfielders gone. Still no moves by your San Diego Padres now with just 5.5 hours to go until the trade deadline. We will keep you updated.
Who from the Angels and or the Orioles that makes the least amount of sense for the Padres would end up being the guy?
I don't know.
today?
The one that makes the most sense, obviously, is Reed Detmers, the pitcher, who is still available. Padres looking for starting pitching. Least sense, no idea what else they've got. I mean, they can't possibly have anything in the bullpen that's better than anything the Padres have right now. They already traded Chase Silseth last week, so there's not a ton left with the Angels other than Reed Detmers, and of course Zach Neto. If he's open, I think everybody would be interested in Zach Neto, but the price would be insanely high for a player of that caliber. So we'll keep our eyes on what's happening, obviously, throughout the day. Until then, though, let's get to the action from the weekend. Time for our MLB Reach Around.
They're doing the
Reach Around. Reach Around. Reach Around. Speaking of the Cleveland Guardians, they finally helped out the San Diego Padres yesterday, avoiding a sweep with a 5-0 win over the Arizona Diamondbacks. 5 2/3 shutout innings and 10 strikeouts from Gavin Williams. I believe there was a rain delay, which is why I had to come out of that game, but he was terrific. He's been terrific lately. That loss by the Diamondbacks means there's now only a game separating the Padres and the Diamondbacks for the last playoff spot in the National League. Also, one game separating the Padres and Phillies, who won a rain-shortened game 8-0 over the Baltimore Orioles in just 6 innings. That's the way to go if you can get it. Save your pitching, only go 6 innings and still win the game. A little advantage for the Philadelphia Phillies yesterday. The Marlins shut out the Mets 2-0. We had in this, the return of Robert Stock to the mound for the Mets, but Sandy Alcantara was just a little bit better as Miami takes 3 out of 4 in that series, and they've gotten hot. Ever since the Padres swept them, they swept the Phillies, took 3 out of 4 from the Mets. They've won 6 out of 7 and are just a half game behind the Padres in the wild card race. The Yankees beat the Cubs 2-1. The New York Yankees won the series even though they were held to just 2 runs in all 3 games. The Cubs' loss means the Padres are now just, I believe, 5 games behind the Cubs for that first wild card spot. Now, obviously, it's most important that you get into the playoffs, but we talk a lot about how that first wild card very different than the second and third, and that you get to host a best-of-3 playoff series, which obviously gives you home field advantage, a better chance to win, but also gives you potentially 3 more revenue and home dates that the Padres did not get last year when they had to go to Chicago. I certainly think if you're going to be aggressive, it's with a mind of not just making the playoffs, but potentially chasing down the Cubs over these last 2 months of the season if you can somehow earn that top wild card spot.
How far back are we from the Cubs?
5. I mean, they were
not impossible.
They were 5 back from the Marlins 2 weeks ago, and now are ahead of them. So it's certainly not impossible. The Cubs, of course, looking for reinforcements, already picked up Kevin Gossman from the Blue Jays yesterday at the trade deadline.
Such a massive, massive series, though. I'm really only focused on Padres Diamondbacks.
For now, for sure.
And, for good reason. That's really all you can control right now. But so much can change, whether the Padres win 3 out of 4, lose 3 out of 4. I mean, there's a lot riding on these next couple of games here.
We are starting to see some separation between Padres and Marlins, and then the teams that are kind of chasing starting to fall back, including the Pirates, who lost again yesterday to the Reds 10-2, dropping 3 of 4 against Cincinnati at this time of year, really hurting the Pirates' chances. Chase Burns cruises through 6 innings with a big lead there. The Nationals, of course,
they're selling off.
Have turned into sellers as they got mopped by the Atlanta Braves,
losing
losing
the Cardinals
all 4.
Have anything left in them? Or
They did win yesterday, but that was just to avoid a sweep by the Blue Jays. They needed 4 runs in the 9th, so I feel like all 3 of those teams, the Pirates, the Nationals, and the Cardinals, are now kind of in the seller bucket rather than the buyer bucket. So it's really, in my mind, 5 and potentially 4 teams for 3 playoff spots. The Cubs, the Phillies, the Diamondbacks, the Padres, and maybe the Marlins, who we don't know yet. They haven't made any moves, really, whether they're going to be buyers or sellers. So if they end up selling, then it's 4 teams for 3 spots. You like your chances, even though the Padres right now are the 1 team out. It's not bad odds. 75% of those teams will make the playoffs.
I'm very curious what the Marlins will do. I don't know what you would do if you're them. I mean, you're a team that hasn't had a whole lot of success in recent years, and even the prospect of making the playoffs has got to be attractive.
You made the playoffs under Skip Schumacher a couple of years ago.
Sure, but
and then took
outside of that,
step back.
That was kind of a blip, right? I mean, you let him go a year
if they
later.
were trading, Kyle Stowers would fetch a huge price if anyone was interested.
Like, I don't know how heavy they're going to go to acquire any pieces, and they've got a lot of young talent that they're probably pretty excited about.
But if you were trading, then Sandy Alcantara would once again be the first guy that people were asking about as a rental potential pitcher. So, what the Miami Marlins do is going to be very interesting and potentially impacting the Padres.
I don't know that you can trade Sandy and then still say, we're still going for it.
No, I mean, I think they have to make a decision. They're either buyers or sellers.
Right.
Maybe you can do a little bit of both, but if they want to beat out the Padres and the Diamondbacks and the Phillies, they have to be just buyers. And I don't know that they're ready to do that. So we'll see what the Marlins
It's like Kyle Glazier said earlier this hour. He said he thought the Brewers, for not wanting to be able to match or beat that package of prospects they could have done to get Skubal for a 2-month rental, he said that's just not a position that they're comfortable in as a franchise, whereas A.J. Preller lives in that arena. They have not been that team. They don't typically make those decisions, and so maybe they got a little gun shy and they just backed off. I'm not sure, but I think you made a good point there.
The Marlins were the insanely hot team in June. The Red Sox were the insanely hot team in July. They've carried it into August as they completed a sweep of the Dodgers with an 8-4 win. They have now won 28 of their last 33 games to go from clear sellers, lost season, to now potentially American League favorites based on 1 month and 1 month alone. Certainly changed their status at the deadline as the Red Sox continue to play the best baseball in the entire league right now. The Astros, a critical sweep of the fading Texas Rangers with a 7-3 win yesterday. Houston, they were basically written off as sellers earlier in the season. They were thinking, are they going to trade Yordan Alvarez? No, he's going to win the MVP, and they now lead the AL West by 2.5 games. So a lot of premature talk about the Astros being dead and buried earlier in the season. The Mariners topped the Twins 7-6, winning the series on a walk-off single by Colt Emerson in the bottom of the 9th. Minnesota had rallied down from 6-0 with 3 home runs in the 8th and the 9th inning to tie it up, but it wasn't quite enough as Seattle gets a much-needed victory there. The Tigers, such an interesting story. So they trade Tarek Skubal, seemingly out of it, and then they sweep the Athletics, including an 11-0 blowout yesterday, to really stay just 2.5 games, I believe, out of a playoff spot. So could they still buy something here, even though they got what they wanted for Skubal, and make a run toward the wild card and say, hey, I know we don't have Tarek Skubal, but we're not totally out of this thing? They're an interesting situation today.
They could either, it's kind of a similar spot to the Padres in that you're like, well, are they going to go for it? Are they going to make a, splashy move, or buy on the margins, if at all, and just kind of roll the dice?
It's hard to ever say. Yeah, we traded our best pitcher, 2-time Cy Young Award winner, but we're still trying to make the playoffs.
Right.
No one really buys it, but crazier things have happened in baseball. So we'll see what the Tigers do. Angels beat the Brewers 3-0, even though they're clear sell mode. They did beat Jacob Misiorowski, which doesn't happen a lot. He struck out 10 in 7 innings, but got beat just once or twice, and that was enough for the Angels to get the win. Rockies complete a rare sweep of the Kansas City Royals. First career complete game for Kyle Freeland in an 8-1 win over Kansas City. And the White Sox topped the Rays 9-1. Chicago taking 2 of 3. They held the Tampa Bay Rays to just 1 run in all 3 of those games. So the Rays offense going cold, and the White Sox continuing to battle for a playoff spot in the American League Central. And that is your MLB reach around for a Monday morning.
Great reach around, Benny.
Thank you. All right, we'll come back with our final look at any potential trades that go down before 10 o'clock, and of course we'll continue our coverage.
Like 2 trades per commercial break
Pretty
right
much.
now.
So we'll see what happens in this next break before we come back. Wrap things up with Bennett Woods on a Monday on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
He just here. I'll show you a little. Just a little.
Please
just a
don't.
little bit. What hurts on you?
Nothing at all.
A little bit.
Nothing. Now,
So let's say
whatever you're about to touch is the only thing.
Let's say
It's gonna hurt.
Right?
All right, yeah.
Okay.
Pretend your knee hurts.
Pretend your knee.
It's going to in a second.
Right here.
That is not pleasant.
Hey, player, this is all yours. This room with this view. This speakeasy with this cocktail. Hey, could you make that too? The spa with this. Ah. And this pool on this roof. This is all for you. The all-new Hamul Casino Resort, now open.
Final segment on a Monday morning, broadcasting live from our Bill House studios. We know how. We've had to say goodbye to Woodsy due to technical difficulties and vacation obligations in Hawaii, but hopefully we'll have him back tomorrow for the full show, his last day in Hawaii as well. No trades at all during our commercial breaks. First time in the last 3 commercial breaks that nothing happened. Still waiting, though, on a Padres move. Ken Rosenthal did add to his ongoing blog that he expects the Padres to add a left-handed hitting outfielder by the end of the day. Not the first time I've heard that, but if you're looking for a name, I would center my attention on 3 different options. J.J. Bleday from the Cincinnati Reds, Lars Nootbaar from the St. Louis Cardinals, and what seems to be the consensus choice in our YouTube stream, Mickey Moniak of the Colorado Rockies.
Yep, heard his name for a while now.
Bring back the San Diego boy. I'm going to just throw something out that you're not maybe going to like, and it may be wrong, but I think the Padres aren't that high on Mickey Moniak. They could have had Mickey Moniak in the offseason at any time, and A.J. Preller has never showed interest. You know, I've heard that Mickey would love to play in San Diego, return to Petco Park, and for whatever reason, Padres have not been amenable to making that happen. even though they've needed offense quite often.
Now, he's also playing better than he
is
ever has.
He is, but now you'd have to trade something like prospects for him when you could have had him for next to nothing earlier.
I'm trying to explain why maybe they didn't go and get him because he hadn't played very good.
Well, I mean, but he's doing a lot of it at Coors Field, which you take with a grain of salt.
Sure.
I could be wrong. And Mickey Moniak could be a Padre in 3 hours or 3 minutes for all I know. I just think it's probably more likely to see one of the other two guys, J.J. Bleday or Lars Nootbaar. Nootbaar is terrible against left-handed pitching, so he would be a right-handed platoon against righties only. He's
Bleday
decent.
feels like a
Bleday
Padre.
has hit 19 home runs. He's got an OPS over 800. He'd probably be
that doesn't feel like a
little
Padre.
more expensive, but he was DFA'd the year before by the Athletics, so obviously he can run really hot or cold. Does feel like one of those potential AJ guys with one more year of control. He could replace Ramon Laureano, who's going to be a free agent in the offseason.
Yeah.
Haven't heard anything about Laureano. I think it was always kind of a
I didn't
pie
expect
in the
to. Yeah.
sky dream that he was going to return. I don't think he is going to return this season, but you will need to replace him maybe
He
with
got
someone
hurt
next
so
year.
early on, and they were pretty confident even then, like early on, that he probably wasn't coming back this year. So, it's kind of a lost cause.
And if you do
point.
get someone like Nootbaar, you're still going to need a right hand. I don't know, Samad Taylor, haven't heard much in terms of him coming back. He can obviously play the outfield and from the right side. We did have the first home run of the career by Jace Bowen. Congratulations. Didn't talk a ton about it earlier. Was there you go. A tepid round of applause. He dreamed about it and then hit the home run the next night. That's very cool for Jace Bowen. So we'll see what the Padres end up doing. Miguel Andujar also still on the injured list. I don't want him roaming the outfield, but you certainly could get his right-handed bat back in the lineup against left-handers from time to time. If he could get healthy again, we were kind of told it's a pain tolerant sort of thing, that he's in that soft, not the soft cast, just the brace, not a full cast as he's coming back from the broken wrist. But I have not heard any word over the weekend. All we heard was that tomorrow is the day that Joe Musgrove and Nick Pivetta begin their rehab assignments with the Lake Elsinore Storm at an 11 a.m. start.
11 a.m., morning game on a Tuesday. Interesting.
I mean, that gives you the option of heading to Lake Elsinore, watching them both pitch, and getting back in time to listen or watch the Padres game tomorrow night against the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Worst ways to spend a Tuesday.
Not bad. If you can take the day off and just go, I'm having a baseball day, minor league during the day, Padres later in the day, you could do that. So still trying to follow all the trade. No news in the last few minutes, but I'm 100% sure that A.J. Preller is going to do something between now and 3 o'clock. It would be an absolute shock of epic proportions if we get to 3 o'clock and the Padres were just,
Can you imagine, nothing?
Nothing?
Not even a fringe, like the Rich Hill
How's
trade.
that press conference at 4 o'clock going to sound when the Padres do absolutely nothing?
Tell you right now. From our standpoint, we like the guys that we have in our system, and we believe in this team. And from our
I would not buy
standpoint,
that. That it's not by choice. If they do nothing, it's because they didn't have enough to offer. Other teams offered more, and they got shut out at the window, essentially. That's the only reasonable explanation if the Padres don't do anything. So don't give me that, no, we liked the team that we had, and we just didn't feel like there was anything there to improve us. If they don't make a move, it's because they didn't have enough to offer the teams that were looking. And maybe AJ, for once, was unwilling to overpay for things that he kind of liked, which isn't the worst thing, but he's definitely shopping. He's at the grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
He is going down the aisles. He's looking to put things into his cart. The question is, when he gets to the checkout stand, is his credit card going to be declined, or is he going to make the sale? That's all we're looking at this point, so we'll wait and find out. We didn't really talk about the other two games of the weekend. We did our Padres wrap-up of yesterday's win, went through it. Anything stand out to you on Friday night or Saturday night's game? I mean, Friday night was pretty much perfect.
That was the 6-0.
That was the Bradley Rodriguez 1 inning, Yuki Matsui 3 innings, and then Herman Marquez 5 innings shutout of the Giants, 2-hitter. Padres out-hit the Giants 12-2, get out to the big early lead. Ty France drives in 3, Campy goes 3 for 4, Jace Bowen hits the home run. I mean, you couldn't draw up the plan, the pitching chaos plan, any better than, I don't know that I've ever seen a game where The first pitcher went 1, the second pitcher went 3, and the third pitcher went 5, honestly, in baseball. But German Marquez gets the weirdest save ever.
Yes.
5 innings.
I remember. So, okay, now I remember. I pulled up the box score because I was like, why don't I remember anything from Friday night? I was running around. I had some errands to run that evening, so I was kind of in and out of the game. But I do remember at one point going, holy the Padres are throwing a 2-hitter right now. Like, hadn't even really registered with me till late in the game. But that I remember looking at the box score and I go, okay, German Marquez with a 5-inning save. He's getting credit for the save, but it wasn't a save opportunity because they won 7-0. It didn't make any sense.
As long as you pitch 3 innings, it doesn't matter if you're up by 20. You get a save if you
So
finish
weird.
the game. So, yeah, a rare German Marquez save. And then Saturday, you had the Freddie Fermin game where he hit the go-ahead 2-run homer. He hit an RBI single. And then the Padres lose the lead after Jeremiah Estrada loads the bases. Mason Miller comes in and gives up, shockingly, on a 103-mile-an-hour fastball. Basabe hits the 2-run double to tie the game. It is the fastest pitch any Giant has gotten a hit off of since they started tracking it. But as Mason Miller said, 3-1 count. I mean, I had to come into him, and he timed it up. Credit to Basabe, who had a really big weekend. But the Padres end up coming back in the bottom of the 9th. Oh, that was when Mason Miller cut his finger, too. Was mad, threw a cooler in the dugout, had to be treated for the finger cut, came back out in the 9th, retired the side, and ended up getting the win.
What was his quote? I don't like giving up runs.
And then Xander Bogaerts comes and hits the lead double. Freddie Fermin, again, gets the sacrifice bunt down. So all Gavin Sheets needs is a fly ball to win the game, but hits a dribbler, and Xander can't move off of third. So comes down to Jake Cronenworth, and I have to give Jake a lot of credit. It was a really fantastic at-bat there because he had to battle off some good pitches. He had to foul some off.
It was like an 8-pitch at-bat.
I think it was the 8th pitch, deep into the count where he finally gets the RBI single to end up winning the game. So really nicely done by Jake Cronenworth there in the bottom of the 9th inning. A game that would have crushed the Padres. Again, that would have been to have a 5-3 lead in the 8th inning, to get a 2-run double off of Mason Miller. The Padres can't afford to lose games like that. So that would have been crushing, but they did end up pulling that one out of the fire on Saturday night. And then, of course, yesterday followed up with another tense one, but a couple of 1-run wins, which is something the Padres hadn't done much of since the All-Star break. Get 2 of them in a row and, managed to get through Griffin Canning and J.P. Sears and find a way. Adrian Morejon, give him a lot of credit. He had to get 4 outs in 2 straight games for the Padres to get those 1-run wins.
Mason Miller was not pitching yesterday.
So great job by Adrian Morejon in picking up the ball and giving Mason Miller the day off, which presumably means Mason Miller could be available today if, you need Michael King to go like 6 at least, maybe 7 today to rest the rest of the bullpen, which was taxed the last couple of days.
And who will pitch tomorrow? Is he on the roster? Is tomorrow's starting pitcher on the roster?
It's so
right
weird
now?
because you could make a trade for a starting pitcher, but if he pitched like yesterday,
Right, maybe he's not available.
You still wouldn't have him available
Gotta fly
until like
out
Thursday in time. So my guess is it's probably some combination of
it's gonna be Johnny
German
Holstaff
Marquez
again,
and everybody that they can still figure out a way to piece together 9 innings tomorrow. So
I'm excited for tonight's game, though. Just not deadline aside and all of that. We'll see what happens between now and the deadline passing, but I'm excited for the game. It's not a playoff game or anything, but you can feel the implications of this 4-game series.
Tier 1's no. You want to be listening to the first 5 minutes of Braden's show.
There's a trade incoming in about 7 minutes.
When news breaks, it usually comes at 10:01. We'll see. Coming up with Frank and Braden next. For Paulie and Woods, I'm Ben. Have a great rest of your Monday from all of us here at 97.3 The Fan.